The Cultivation family. I begin by taking a concubine and practicing the art of the sun and moon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Eastern Great Wilderness Vein. Of course, she didn't roll her eyes shyly, but rather supported her forehead helplessly. After calming down, Zhao Yunzai glanced at Meng Yushan and the other two behind her. Zhu Dasheng immediately reacted and waved to the three people, signaling them to leave. After seeing them leave, Zhao Yunzai regained her composure and said, "I have been thinking about it for a long time these days. The head of the Zhu family asked me to participate in the competition. It's not that the better I perform, the more favor I will get. On the contrary, it may be disadvantageous rather than beneficial." Zhu Dasheng lowered his eyes, and a trace of thought flashed across his eyebrows. "Then, what do you think the head of the family means?" Zhao Yunzai pondered for a while and said, "After all, I am not a member of the Zhu family. If I show my ability, it will only disgust the Zhu family. What they really want to see is just me assisting you." After speaking, Zhao Yunzai looked at the clear lake, not knowing what she was thinking. Zhu Dasheng glanced at her and was a little surprised. He didn't expect her to think so deeply. Perhaps for people from small families, they have to bear more pressure since childhood, and face the challenge of the survival of the family, so they naturally have more thoughts. After a while, Zhao Yunzai said, "Your island is too barren, and the number and quality of spiritual fields are not high. It is difficult to meet the basic requirement of 1,300 pieces throughout the year. So, I want you to participate in the breeding of flower silkworms. You don't need to really help. I will allocate some spiritual stones to you on the grounds of cooperation." Zhu Dasheng raised his eyebrows and said in surprise, "You don't need my help, and then you give me spiritual stones?" "Yes." "You don't need me to take out spiritual stones?" "Yes." "Free food?" "Yes." "Then, can you use the flower silk and make me a few sets of inner armor?" No. Yunzai's forehead veins jumped, and he felt a tightness in his chest. After a long silence, his cheeks flushed, because he was angry. It is not easy to breed flower silkworms. The silk produced each year is not much, and it needs to go through complex processing. In the end, even fewer magic tools can be made. It is precisely because of its scarcity that it is in short supply. Zhao Yunzai glanced at the young man in the past and sighed helplessly. How can this be married? This mother is simply here to be a mother and take care of the child. Okay, I'll leave you a set. Zhu Dasheng blinked. He didn't expect that Zhao Yunzai had such a good temper and could agree to this, so he raised his eyebrows and said, "Then I have been practicing sluggishly recently. I have 2 or 3 difficult problems that I can't figure out. Can I visit you tonight?" However, before he finished speaking, Zhao Yunzai glared at him directly, turned around and left with a wave of her sleeves. She stood on the boat in a green dress, leaving only a clear voice without any emotion. "I will go to find Baisang Kui tomorrow, and you can come to my island to find me tomorrow morning." Zhu Dasheng touched his nose, looked at the figure leaving, and secretly felt lucky in his heart. Exposing Meng Yushan and the other two this time was already a careless act. Fortunately, Zhao Yunzai did not ask about it, otherwise it would be difficult to explain. If she went deeper into the island, she would have to expose the 8 acres of first-level middle-grade spiritual field. Fortunately, she was thick-skinned and drove Zhao Yunzai away, otherwise it would be difficult to get away with it. However, thinking of what Zhao Yunzai said, Zhu Dasheng smiled helplessly, and did not reject her idea. Although he did not want to compete for the so-called quota, nor did he want to be exposed too much, he just wanted to stay on the island and practice peacefully. But Zhao Yunzai would not think so. She still had a family behind her, and her own uncertain immortal path, so she naturally needed to consider more. If the road goes smoothly in the future, I can help a little. It's not good to eat and drink for free. Zhu Dasheng was thinking. Meng Yushan and the other two came over and winked at him. Glancing at the 3 people, Zhu Daosheng waved his hand. Meng Yushan and the other two came trotting over, grinning and asking, "Sir, was that my sister-in-law?" Zhu Daosheng looked a little strange. "You are so old, how can you call her sister-in-law?" Meng Yushan was stunned, pulled the scar on his face, and asked tentatively, "Then, call me sister-in-law. I call you brother? That's fine." "Oh no no no," Meng Yushan shook his hand hurriedly and said with a sad face, "Then I call the lady." Zhu Daosheng waved his hand and didn't continue to dwell on this issue, but asked, "Do you know a spiritual plant like white mulberry sunflower?" "White mulberry sunflower?" Meng Yushan thought for a moment and replied, "It should be a first-level middle-grade spiritual plant. There should be none in the nearby area, but it should exist in the unknown mountains farther away." "Are there any monsters entrenched near this spiritual plant?" The problem Zhu Daosheng was most worried about was encountering powerful monsters. "There are few people around Balin Lake, which is close to the Great East Wilderness. There are many powerful monsters living there. Even the hunting teams of various families need to be very careful. Even if there are 9-level Qi refining leaders, there will often be casualties. If 2 juniors with 70% Qi refining rush in, the risk factor is very high." At this time, Huang Zhao suddenly said, "Sir, white mulberry is not a particularly precious spiritual plant, and it will not attract monsters when it grows on its own. However, silkworms often appear around white mulberry, so it will attract some other monsters to prey on it, which may be dangerous." Zhu Daosheng slightly and memorized this information in his mind. "Where is the location? Is it far away?" "It's about 50 kilometers away. If everything goes well, we can get there in half a day," Meng Yushan replied. Then he thought about it and added, "Sir, we can go together tomorrow. We are casual cultivators in this area and are familiar with the nearby environment. Although this area is not too dangerous, there are still many complexities. Especially, since you two are both descendants of the family, you are well-dressed and not very strong, you are likely to attract the covetous attention of other casual cultivators. We can handle it even if we are here." After listening to Meng Yushan's words, Zhu Daosheng's calm eyes suddenly showed a look of thought, and asked, "Are there many other casual cultivators in this area nearby?" Meng Yushan did not doubt that he was there, and replied, "That's natural. This is the easternmost point of the Nanning Immortal Realm. Going further east, there lies the huge eastern wilderness. There are a lot of unexplored virgin lands, and there are many unexplored virgin lands, a heaven of cultivation. Although the area we're in is still on the edge of the eastern Great Wilderness, there are also many weaker casual cultivators making a living here." Zhu Daosheng nodded silently and didn't say anything more, but he just had some more thoughts in his mind. With the spiritual mysticism, you have the means to control the monks. Is it possible to control a group of casual cultivators using a method similar to the one used to control the 3 men in Meng Yushan? After all, as Meng Yushan said, there are many casual cultivators around here. Since the first batch of casual cultivators can discover Balin Lake, then there may be a second batch, a third batch. If there is no strong strength, it must be very danger. Chapter 27 Traveling Together. And now, the family needs to spend most of its energy dealing with the Ma family. It is unable to provide help from Balin Lake and must rely on its own efforts. Predicting possible disasters is also a very necessary thing, or in other words, it is something that has to be considered in the next period of time. Burying his thoughts deeply in his heart, Zhu Daosheng already had some plans. After a moment of silence, he looked at Meng Yushan and said, "The 3 of you will go with me tomorrow, just to take a look at the nearby environment." The next day, early morning, a light mist enveloped the lake, and from time to time there were traces of white-scaled bass swimming by, causing light ripples on the water. Zhu Daosheng took Meng Yushan and 3 others by boat to Zhao Yunzai's island. Meng Yushan whispered, "Sir, if you don't look carefully, your island is really not as good as this one." Zhao Yunzai's island has a larger area, flatter terrain, and richer aura on the surface, and its environment is better than Zhu Daosheng's island in all aspects. Zhu Daosheng just smiled. If he hadn't accidentally discovered the spiritual spring eye, The environment on his island would indeed be average. As for why he chose that one, it was just for the sake of purity. As long as the location was concealed enough, even without the spiritual spring eye, he could still rise with the help of formations and techniques. But with the Lincoln eye, everything becomes easier. When he arrived near the island, Dao Yunzai was already ready. He changed out of his elegant Xingyi and wore a black outfit underneath and a loose robe outside. As expected, Dao Yunzai is several years older and has much more experience in traveling than Zhu Daosheng. The costume is for convenience in traveling and fighting, but it is also a magic weapon with certain defensive capabilities, while the robe is to cover up the graceful body and avoid unnecessary trouble due to figure and appearance. Dao Yunzai put his luggage on his back and boarded the boat with his magic weapon, saying, "Let's go." Zhu Daosheng glanced at the bulging luggage behind him and asked, "What did you bring with you? It's such a big package." Dao Yunzai straightened his hair and said softly, "Some daily necessities, as well as elixirs, talismans and the like. You should rarely go out. These things are necessary." "Then, why don't you put it in the storage bag?" Dao Yunzai was about to say, "Which junior can afford a storage bag?" In the blink of an eye, Zhu Daosheng saw 2 storage bags hanging on his waist, which looked like they contained a lot of things. One storage bag was given by grandfather Zhu Qingyuan, and the other was snatched from Meng Yushan. Although Zhu Daosheng has no experience, Meng Yushan has rich experience, so he has to bring all the items he needs to carry, and even prepares more things. The only thing missing was elixirs, talismans and the like. Due to the lack of money, they didn't buy them for the time being, but fortunately, Meng Yushan and the other 3 had some, which they could barely spare. Dao Yunzai pursed his lips, took off his luggage, and threw it into Zhu Daosheng's hands. "Just put it together. Remember not to show your wealth when you are outside, so as not to be targeted by the group of casual cultivators and cause trouble." Meng Yushan touched his nose and didn't dare to say anything. After all, they were just those casual cultivators. According to the information Dao Yunzai learned, Baiseng Kui is in the northeast of Bailin Lake, which is similar to the location mentioned by Meng Yushan. Zhu Daosheng didn't say much, and the 4 of them went straight on the road. Most of the mountains here are in undeveloped areas, and the terrain is wild and dangerous. Because there are few families and forces nearby, the surrounding monsters are rarely cleared away, so traces of being touched can be seen everywhere. Using the magic weapon to open a path, within just a few kilometers, I encountered a demonic beast that was in the middle stage of chi refining. However, facing a few people, I naturally couldn't get any benefits. As long as the weaker Huang Zhao takes action, the problem can be easily solved. At this time, Dao Yunzai also had a deeper understanding of the strength of Meng Yushan's 3 people, 1 each at the 6th, 7th and 8th levels of chi refining. Although this strength is not very strong for ordinary forces, it is definitely not weak, and it can already sustain some small scenes. Dao Yunzai asked in a low voice, "Who are they?" "They don't look like members of the Zhu family, but rather like casual cultivators." Zhu Daosheng did not hide anything and said directly, "It is indeed a casual cultivator nearby who accidentally met me. He was impressed by my strength and charm and chose to submit to the Zhu family." Dao Yunzai didn't pay attention to the joke, but took a deep look at Zhu Daosheng. But suddenly she felt that there seemed to be some mystery surrounding the young man in front of her, which she could not see through. She couldn't help but recall that when the Zhao family was discussing who to marry her to, they had taken stock of the children within the Zhu family. However, the main discussion at that time was with members of the Zhu family's generation. After all, no one expected that the head of the Zhu family would let her marry a junior from the Taoist generation. However, the situation of the Zhujia Dao generation was also discussed during the process. Among the Dao generation, there are currently only 13 of them. The only ones who can be considered talented are the eldest Zhu Daobai, Lao Sisidiki, and Lao Lia Zhu Daosheng. It's just that among the 3, Zhu Daosheng's cultivation level is not as good as Zhu Daobai's, and his cultivation skills are not as good as Zhu Daki's, so he ranks last among the 3. I just didn't expect that in the end, the head of the Zhu family, Zhu Qingyai, would defy all opinions and select Zhu Dasheng as the marriage partner. Zhao Yunzai vaguely seemed to have noticed something strange about Zhu Dasheng, but if Zhu Dasheng knew what she was thinking, he would only reply, "You are thinking too much." It is precisely because Zhu Dasheng has no advantages that even if he marries Zhao Yunzai, it will not have much impact on the Zhu family, so this arrangement is made. The group did not move very fast, and it took most of the day to finally arrive near the destination. The mountains and jungles here are very dense, the terrain has become particularly steep, and the probability of monsters appearing is gradually increasing. Fortunately, Meng Yushan and the other two are experienced, and they have avoided many dangers along the way, and they also have unique methods to deal with many monsters. Otherwise, Zhu Dasheng and Zhao Yunzai should have taken a lot of detours. It should been nearby. I have seen Baiseng Kui before, but it may be a bit troublesome to look for it now. Huang Zhao wiped the sweat from his forehead and spit casually, showing his bandit spirit. Returning to this mountain range is the world where they, a group of casual cultivators, can truly adapt to, and their aura has changed a lot. Zhu Dasheng has been constantly adapting to the wild environment for half a day, and has learned a lot from Meng Yushan and the other two. Zhao Yunzai climbed up a boulder and scanned the surrounding terrain, looking for areas where white mulberry may be found. As the Zhao family's unique secret recipe, Zhao Yunzai is also a genius of the Zhao family. He has received a good education since childhood and knows all this knowledge. Soon, the target was found. That area is flat and dry, facing the sun, and the soil nearby is also suitable for the growth of white mulberry. Let's go and take a look. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Soul Devouring Ant Colony. Just as Zhao Yunzai was about to stand up, he was stopped by Meng Yushan, who was standing beside him, and even pulled him back. Not only Meng Yushan, but also Huang Zhao and Zhang Yun on the side were looking sharply ahead. Zhu Dasheng noticed something unusual about them and asked, "Did something happen?" Meng Yushan swallowed his saliva and said with a trembling voice, "Look. Do you see the entrance of the cave in front? That is the cave of the second level monster, the spirit-devouring ant colony." Hearing this, Zhu Dasheng's pupils shrank instantly, and the information about the spirit-devouring ant colony emerged in his mind. This is a second-level spirit insect monster that is not strong individually, but usually appears in groups. Even ordinary foundation building experts don't dare to provoke easily. This special ant colony has an almost terrifying greed for any spiritual material, and will eat everything up if it comes into contact with it. Especially items with high spiritual energy concentration such as monk bodies, magic weapons, elixirs, and talismans. Relying on the huge numbers, through the terrifying insect sea tactics, carrying out continuous attacks, devouring and gnawing the flesh and mana, dozens of foundation building experts may be hunted by the ant colony. If you are targeted by a powerful second-level monster, you might still be able to escape, but if you are targeted by a swarm of spirit-devouring ants, you will definitely be chewed up to the point where no bones are left. If you encounter this kind of monster in the wild and attract the attention of the ant colony, there is almost no possibility of escape. Zhu Dasheng suddenly understood that no wonder the three Meng Yushan were so nervous, because if they were not careful, all 5 people present might be killed here, and no one would be spared. Thinking of this, the breathing of the 5 people present became rapid. Meng Yushan swallowed and lowered his voice. "We can't stay here any longer. Let's retreat slowly. We must not attract the attention of the ants." The others nodded silently and squatted down quietly, making as little noise as possible. Fortunately, everyone has not completely entered the living range of the spirit-devouring ant colony. They are currently several hundred meters apart. As long as they are careful, it is still possible to stay away from this area. If you get any closer, it will be really dangerous. It took a few breaths to get here, but it took a full 2/4 of an hour to get back. It wasn't until he was 2 or 3 kilometers away that Zhu Dasheng breathed a long sigh of relief and felt that his breathing was much easier. Meng Yushan and the other 3 fell to the ground with a pop sound. "Grandma, I'm so stupid. I've really seen a ghost." "How could there be such a ghost thing? It's really unlucky." Huang Zhao leaned on the tree stump, cursed and said, "Who said it wasn't true? I almost died here. We wander around this area every day. How come we didn't know there was a colony of spirit-devouring ants there?" Zhu Dasheng and Zhao Yunzai were not much better. They took out 2 or 3 water bags from their storage bags, threw one to Meng Yushan and the others, gave one to Zhao Yunzai, and kept one for themselves. Then they raised their heads and drank 2 mouthfuls. "Stop complaining. Just have fun wandering around a group of spiritual insects like this and come out intact." Apart from the initial fear, Zhu Dasheng's mood recovered and he became much calmer. Meng Yushan regained his senses and analyzed carefully. "We often hunt wild beasts in this area, but we have never seen a colony of spirit-devouring ants, nor have we heard of the existence of such monsters. The group of spirit-devouring ants we just met. It is most likely a new one, and I think the hole I have learned is not very big, and the soil is pale white. So it is very likely that it is just an ant colony in the qi refining period." "A first-level spirit-devouring ant colony? That's not something we can deal with." Zhao Yunzai frowned. However, there was a hint of greed in Huang Zhao's eyes. "I heard that although the spirit-devouring ant colony is terrifying, it is also an extremely precious spiritual insect. There are many treasures of heaven and earth in the nest." Snapped. Meng Yushan slapped Huang Zhao on the head fiercely and cursed angrily. "How dare you even think about this thing? Are you too tired of living?" "Oh, treasures from heaven and earth?" Zhu Dasheng's eyes lit up. He looked over curiously, and asked, "It's okay, let's talk about it." Huang Zhao rubbed his head, and after hearing Zhu Dasheng's speech, he said with relief, "The spirit-swallowing ants swallow the pure spiritual energy, so they will secrete a kind of spiritual nectar, which has extremely pure and rich spiritual energy. After absorbing it, it can quickly increase its strength, and it has a certain effect in recovering injuries. Besides, this is not the most precious thing," Huang Zhuo said more enthusiastically, lowering his voice. "I heard that some powerful monks can tame this kind of spirit worm for their own use as a means of combat. So the eggs of swallowing spirit ants are also extremely precious." This was the first time Zhu Dasheng heard about it, and he was shocked. Domestication spirit, a method of controlling beasts. Seeing Zhu Dasheng's interest, Meng Yushan also explained, "Indeed, the Bailing Man, a force in the Purple Mansion, is famous for its beast control methods, which are similar methods, but we should not think about it. This thing is too dangerous. Even if only the strength in the qi refining stage is not something we can't touch." Zhu Dasheng nodded. Meng Yushan and others were more experienced in this regard. Logically speaking, casual cultivators are the most greedy group of people. No matter whether there is danger or not, as long as there are cultivation resources, there will be casual cultivators. If even casual cultivators dare not touch it, it is enough to illustrate the danger of this matter. Several people once again turned their goals back to looking for Baiseng Kui. In the nearby area, white mulberry is not a particularly precious and rare spiritual plant. Although it takes some effort to find it, it is not particularly troublesome. After taking some long detours, Meng Yushan relied on his own experience to find some white mulberry trees. Although the number was not large, it could be transplanted, which would solve Zhao Yunzai's urgent need. After doing all this, it was almost evening. Zhao Yunzai looked at the sky and said with some worry, "It may be too late to rush back to Bailin Lake today, and we may have to live in the wild." Zhu Dasheng looked around and finally looked at Meng Yushan. Meng Yushan was also sensible. He knew that it was his turn to take action again. He was happy to be able to show his value in front of Zhu Dasheng. "Sir, when we were casual cultivators before, we often lived in the wild, but the environment was relatively bad. I hope you too can endure it as much as possible." Zhu Dasheng waved his hand. "It doesn't matter, as long as you have a place to live." Neither he nor Zhao Yunzai were spoiled, so they naturally didn't care too much about these. Meng Yushan took advantage of the sky before it was completely dark, found a hidden cave, and easily killed the blue wolf monster in it, and then occupied it. The three cooperated tacitly and had a clear division of labor. Huang Zhao skillfully handled the blue wolf corpse to avoid attracting the attention of other monsters. Zhang Yan found some special spiritual herbs nearby to get rid of the fishy smell in the cave, making it easier to live there at night. Meng Yushan went into the cave to investigate, to determine if there were any other dangers, and to check if there were any natural treasures in the cave. Surprisingly, Meng Yushan soon found 2 earth spirit grasses deep in the cave and gave them to Zhu Dasheng. Chapter 29, Building a Valley Station. The soil essence grass is the spiritual plant that Zhu Dasheng planned to buy seeds before, but gave up because of insufficient spiritual stones. This kind of spiritual plant is of great benefit to the cultivation of earth attribute monks. It can release pure earth attribute spiritual energy, which is exactly what Zhu Dasheng needs, so he naturally accepts it without hesitation. That night, Zhu Dasheng and the other 5 rested in the cave. However, it's more accurate to say that it was just a one-night stay, rather than a night's sleep. The 3 of Meng Yushan were guarding outside, watching the bonfire in the valley and being wary of the monsters around them. There was an accident last time. Zhu Dasheng and Zhao Yunzai in the cave were also unable to rest peacefully. They were also always vigilant and finally practiced all night. The next day, as soon as the sky got slightly brighter, Zhu Dasheng and the others immediately set off and spent most of the day returning to Balin Lake. It was almost noon before we returned successfully. During this trip, Zhao Yunzai collected some white mulberry flowers to facilitate silkworm rearing in the future. Zhu Dasheng obtained 2 first-grade high-grade soil essence grasses and some monster materials. The harvest was not much. In addition, an extremely dangerous colony of spear-devouring ants was discovered, which Zhu Dasheng kept in mind. After returning to the island, Zhu Dasheng suddenly had an idea in his mind. During this trip, the 3 Meng Yushan showed extremely rich experience, especially their abilities in hunting monsters and surviving in the wild. When they were in the wild environment, they showed a completely different state from usual. Since they have this ability, it is indeed a waste to keep them on the island. Zhu Dasheng thought in his mind, there is not much work on the island. At most, it is watering and fertilizing. And by the way, beware of monks with evil intentions approaching. Zhu Dasheng can do things like watering and fertilizing by himself, and he even knows more than Meng Yushan and the other 3. As for being wary of foreign monks, you can actually do this even if you don't stay on the island. You just need to have 3 people stationed outside Balin Lake. On weekdays, I hunt wild beasts in this area to earn spiritual stones, and at the same time, I also prevent others from approaching here. With this in mind, Zhu Dasheng called Meng Yushan and the others over. After 2 days and 1 night of getting along, the 2 parties have become quite familiar with each other, and the relationship is not as rigid as it was at first. Sir, do you have anything to do? Meng Yushan said respectfully. Zhu Dasheng said calmly, Old Meng, how about I find a new place for you outside Balin Lake? You usually make a living by hunting monsters as before, and help me monitor the surrounding situation. I originally thought that if the 3 of them had the opportunity to escape from their own control, they would happily agree, but unexpectedly, the 3 Meng Yushan looked at each other with embarrassed expressions. Zhu Dasheng frowned and said, Is there any problem? Do you want to stay here? Meng Yushan scratched his head, said, Sir, you don't know something. In fact, a large part of the reason why casual cultivators have low cultivation is because of their living environment. They do not have the strength to occupy spiritual veins, so they can only wander in the wild. If you can live in an area with strong spiritual energy, no one wants to leave. After saying this, Zhu Dasheng understood immediately. It's not that casual cultivators really like to live a wandering life without a fixed address. They only do this if they really have no choice. If they really found a spiritual vein suitable for cultivation, they would have become the king of the mountain and developed into a family or power. Who would like to be a vagabond when they have nothing to do? This is why Meng Yushan knew that the island had been occupied, but still resolutely carried out a sneak attack, and did not retreat even after discovering that Zhu Daosheng was an array master. It's because the meaning represented by spiritual veins is so important. This means that they can completely get rid of their original identity and become a dominant force. Zhu Daosheng thought about it for a long time, but in the end he did not change his mind and said, I will arrange the spirit gathering array for you and introduce some spiritual veins to you. Follow my plan. Hearing Zhu Daosheng's decisive tone, Meng Yushan had no choice but to agree. He could vaguely see that his young master also had an extremely domineering personality. Since Zhu Daosheng made such a decision, he must have carefully considered it and would not make changes easily. Zhu Daosheng took Meng Yushan directly to the mountains south of Balin Lake. There is no outward passage to the south, it can only be climbed over here. The three men from Meng Yu Mountain overclimbed it. After crossing the mountain, there is a steep mountain range behind, and then there is a valley with lush plants growing in a very complex environment. However, when you reach the bottom of the valley, the terrain becomes relatively flat, but the spiritual energy is still not strong. If you practice here, it will most likely be difficult to break through to the 9th level of Qi refining before the age of 70. No wonder Meng Yushan disliked the weak spiritual energy outside and wanted to stay on the island. Zhu Daosheng looked at it and asked, Meng Yushan, what do you think of building a station near here? Meng Yushan was absent-minded, but still replied, the terrain is flat, the location is hidden, and the area in the valley is not small. It is completely enough to build a power. But the core issue is the spiritual vein. Don't worry about the spiritual pulse, I will take care of it. Zhu Daosheng interrupted him directly, already having some ideas in his mind. Climbing up the mountain again, Zhu Daosheng measured from a high place, calculated the position of the island and the valley outside, determined the general direction, and drew a sketch. The valley is not far from Balin Lake. Although it seems to be completely separated, it is only because the mountain is extremely high and steep, and it is very difficult to climb over. But in fact, the straight line distance is only a quarter of an hour. Zhu Daosheng drew a line on the sketch and pointed and said, Meng Yushan, you and Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin should spend some effort in the next few days to open a passage between the valley and Balin Lake through this line. After that, Zhu Daosheng looked at Meng Yushan with extremely sincere eyes, only to see that the corner of his mouth twitched, and he almost fell to the ground with dizziness. Sir, your mission. Are you kidding me? Zhu Daosheng raised his eyebrows. Is this a very troublesome thing? Just use the magic tool to dig. The actual distance is actually very close. Meng Yushan said with a sad face, Sir, digging is one part, but it is not an easy thing to find the path you arranged underground accurately. Zhu Daosheng glanced at him. Are you stupid? Is the treasure hunting rat that found my cave a place for nothing? Meng Yushan was stunned, touched his head that had not been washed for a long time, and exclaimed, it seems to be possible. Zhu Daosheng threw the sketch to Meng Yushan and arranged, if you figure it out, do it quickly. When the time comes, I will lead the spiritual vein and you can move here to live. Chapter 30 Purchase Materials. Meng Yushan and his two companions were quite clever. They used the treasure hunting rat's sensitivity to spiritual energy to determine the shortest path between the island and the valley outside. Next, it was a relatively easy but time-consuming excavation. This project lasted for a whole week. Meng Yushan and his two companions worked day and night and tried their best to successfully dig a passage in the mountain that was only for one person to enter and exit. After it was opened, the entrance height was level with the surface of Balin Lake, and the lake water directly poured into it and flowed toward the valley outside. All of this was already in Zhu Daosheng's plan. In the valley outside, a pool had been dug in advance, about 10 feet wide, which could be used to store lake water. Once the passage was opened, the pool in the valley was directly filled with lake water. Later, Zhu Daosheng had the idea of spiritual veins. Since the spiritual liquid flowing out of the spiritual spring can form a first-level middle-grade spiritual vein after entering Balin Lake, can be a new spiritual vein be artificially created. Zhu Daosheng thought it was feasible. As long as the root is arranged and a small spiritual liquid is let out, it can flow directly into the channel dug in the mountain, and then flow into the pool outside, thus artificially creating a spiritual vein. and it is not very difficult to operate, as long as the spiritual liquid does not spread when passing through Balin Lake. The natural spiritual vein in Balin Lake has actually spread completely, making the entire Balin Lake full of spiritual energy, which is not a good phenomenon. On the one hand, large-scale spiritual energy fluctuations are likely to attract the attention of other cultivators, thereby attracting foreign enemies, resulting in reduced concealment and safety of Balin Lake. On the other hand, it will also greatly reduce the concentration of spiritual energy and waste a lot of spiritual energy. Therefore, when Zhu Daosheng created this spiritual vein, he planned to change to a more spiritual energy-saving method. However, this method requires some high-quality materials, which need to be purchased in Beifang City. Zhu Daosheng thought about it and felt that he really needed to go to Beifang City recently. In addition to the materials for guiding the spiritual vein, the formation materials also need to be supplemented. The last batch of array materials has been used up, and with his amazing comprehension, he has been able to skillfully arrange a first-level low-grade array. Now it is time to get in touch with a first-level middle-grade array. The top first-level middle-grade array can reach the late stage of qi refining, barely catching up with the current strength, and can really assist in combat. Zhu Daosheng called Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin and ordered, "Huang Zhao, Zhang Yin, go to Bay Market and buy some things for me." As he spoke, he took out the spirit stone from the storage bag and threw it directly to the two. Huang Zhao did not ask, but just said, "Okay, sir, what do you need to buy specifically? I will make a list for you, just buy according to it." Zhu Daosheng took out a pen and paper, listed the materials he needed on it, and then handed it to Huang Zhao, and then said, "Be smart when the time comes, go to several different shops to buy." Although, in the process of listing the materials for the formation, Zhu Daosheng has already messed up the materials for different formations, and even if ordinary cultivators see all the materials, they can't find any clues at all. But for the sake of safety, it is better to buy them separately as much as possible. At the same time, Zhu Daosheng has also calculated the prices of all the materials, just enough to use up all the spirit stones. Among them, a special kind of wood is needed to pull the spirit veins, the spirit sealing wood. It is generally used to make boxes, which can store the overall natural materials and treasures to prevent the dissipation of spiritual energy. The price is medium, and it takes about 50 spirit stones. In addition, buying 2 sets of first-level low-grade falling rock formations costs about 90 spirit stones, which is more expensive than the last time, because the materials for the formation this time is slightly different. The array materials purchased last time were mainly used to arrange the array on the spot. This time, they were used to refine the array disk. Since Zhu Daosheng was not convenient to arrange the array, he could only settle for the second best and earn spirit stones by selling array disks. Of course, this is also the way most array masters earn spirit stones. After all, array disks are more convenient to use, can be carried with you, and arranged in different terrains. They are much more powerful than talismans and can be used multiple times. Many hunting teams of various forces are willing to equip 1 or 2 sets of arrays if conditions permit, which greatly improves combat power. If there are multiple 9th-level qi refining cultivators, using first-level upper-grade arrays to besiege second-level monsters, there is a certain chance that they will be hunted to death, which is enough to show the power of the array. So this time, Zhu Daosheng plans to refine 2 sets of first-level lower-grade array discs, and try to sell them initially, so as to open up a new channel for obtaining spirit stones. Finally, there will be about 80 spirit stones left, and Zhu Daosheng plans to buy a first-level middle-grade array. As for the type of formation, Zhu Daosheng thought about it again and again, and finally chose a formation called Golden Sword Formation. A formation dedicated to attack and killing, under the full control of the formation master. The power of the instant burst is extremely strong, and it can even be as strong as the 7th-level qi refining cultivator. Because Zhu Daosheng practiced the Wu-Tu Kanu Gong, his physical strength, defense ability, sustained combat ability, total mana and recovery ability are all top-notch, but the only thing he lacks is the ability to attack. and this formation can just make up for this deficiency. Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin are experienced, and there is no danger for them to go to Beifang City as a team, so Zhu Daosheng can rest assured. As for whether they will escape, Zhu Daosheng is not worried at all. The function of spiritual magic is not only to control their life and death in face-to-face situations, but also to be effective at any time. No matter how far away they are, Zhu Daosheng can control their lives with just one thought, and even running away is useless. What's more, Zhu Daosheng did not treat them badly during their time living on the island, and their lives were even much more comfortable than when they were casual cultivators. More than half a month later, Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin returned smoothly, earlier than Zhu Daosheng expected. "Sir, I have bought all the materials you asked for. We negotiated the price and left a dozen spiritual stones. They are all here." With that said, Huang Zhao took out a storage bag and handed it directly to Zhu Daosheng. Zhu Daosheng swept his mind away and briefly checked the materials. After confirming that they were correct, he took action and patted Huang Zhao's shoulder. "Well done. After the spiritual veins are arranged, I will find a place with strong spiritual energy." Cave. Huang Zhao was flattered. "Thank you, sir, for the reward." As a casual cultivator, her biggest wish was to have a stable place to practice with strong cultivation. The reward given by Zhu Daosheng was undoubtedly what she longed for most. Zhu Daosheng waved his hand and started to arrange it directly without wasting time. After all, the journey of cultivation may seem long, but in fact it is like a fleeting cloud. If you slack off even a little bit, you will not be able to see the path to immortality. Chapter 31, Expansion Plan. Take out the soul-sealing wood. The quality is only the first grade middle grade, but there is no other way. It is really short of money, and can only afford the first grade upper grade. The wood has been processed, and the wood core has been completely hollowed out to form a hollow structure, which is convenient for the spiritual liquid to flow, so as to introduce it into the mountain cave. All Zhu Daosheng needs to do is to carry out simple processing and connect more than a dozen soul-sealing wood. When he came to the underground cave, Zhu Daosheng first dug a passage from the inside of the cave to the Balin Lake for placing the soul-sealing wood. The soul-sealing wood leads to the mountain through the lake, connecting the two places for the transportation of spiritual liquid. Then, the most important thing is to draw a spiritual vein from the spiritual spring. Make a small opening to lead out a thin spiritual liquid, and lead it to the outside valley without affecting the operation of the spiritual spring itself. After doing all this, only a quarter of an hour later, Meng Yushan's surprised voice came from the communication stone. "My lord, the spring water here has really become a spiritual spring." Meng Yushan is currently in the valley. If a spiritual spring appears there, it means that the spiritual vein is very smoothly activated. Zhu Daosheng also breathed a sigh of relief. It is a very dangerous thing to artificially create a spiritual vein. If you are not careful, you may destroy the entire spiritual spring. However, strictly speaking, this is not considered to be creating a spiritual vein. It can only be said that it is to use the spiritual spring liquid to dilute a batch of spiritual spring water. However, the effect is not bad. It can maintain the problem of insufficient cultivation of Meng Yushan and others. The huge amount of spiritual spring water can also irrigate the spiritual field, assist in cultivation, etc. And it is not a problem to support a small force. Back to the island, Zhu Daosheng went directly to the opposite valley through the passage. The gurgling spring water flowed out, and the spiritual energy was mixed in the spring water, emitting a faint white mist, which made people feel refreshed after smelling it. The pool in the valley outside was already filled with spring water, and the spiritual energy above was lingering, making the surrounding weeds full of vitality. The concentration of spiritual energy in the valley also increased a lot, almost reaching the first level middle grade, and even close to the first level upper grade, which was a bit more concentrated than the spiritual energy of Balin Lake. Seeing Zhu Daosheng coming, Meng Yushan walked over excitedly. "Sir, I didn't expect it to be true. This spiritual vein is about to reach the first level upper grade. It's incredible." Huang Zhao couldn't hide his joy. He grabbed the soil on the ground and said in shock, The soil nearby is gradually turning into a spiritual field under the irrigation of the spiritual spring. This place can be used as a base for a force or family. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect that after being a casual cultivator for a lifetime, I could still practice in this environment in the end. Zhang Yin was so happy that he cried. Zhu Dasheng looked at the few people helplessly. Although he was in a good mood, he was not as excited as Meng Yushan and the other two. Okay, you guys look for a suitable place to open a cave, and use it as your base in the future. Meng Yushan looked around, touched his beard, and said seriously, Sir, the spiritual energy in the mountain passage is the most concentrated, and it is also the main body of the spiritual vein. I plan to open a cave directly in the mountain. All right. Zhu Dasheng had no objection and nodded in approval. It's good to live directly in the mountain, and I can just take care of the spiritual vein to prevent accidents. Looking around again, Zhu Dasheng suddenly found that the diluted spiritual spring pool in the valley was directly exposed to the air, and the spiritual energy dissipated very quickly. This is not a good phenomenon. If the spiritual energy dissipates too quickly, most of it will be wasted, and the consumption of the spiritual spring will also be very fast. In addition, the large-scale diffusion of spiritual energy is likely to attract the attention of cultivators and monsters, allowing others to discover this hidden valley. After repeated consideration, Zhu Dasheng returned to the island, dismantled his set of gathering spirit formation, and then rearranged it in this valley. The spirit gathering array covered the pool, immediately effectively preventing the spread of spiritual energy, making the spiritual energy in the valley more concentrated and less likely to be discovered by other cultivators. After doing all this valley settlement took shape. The rich spiritual energy, hidden location, and relatively spacious living environment were enough to support the development of a small force. After clapping his hands, Zhu Dasheng called Meng Yushan, who was digging a cave, and said, The environment in the valley is good and the terrain is relatively flat. We can irrigate the spiritual fields and plant some spiritual fields in the future. We should be able to be self-sufficient. Meng Yushan nodded seriously, excitedly. My lord, I think so too. This valley is not small. I estimate that more than 20 acres of spiritual fields can be reclaimed. When the time comes, all of them will be used to provide a stable supply of cultivation resources. If we are free on weekdays, we can also go out to hunt wild animals and use other means to obtain spiritual stones. The harvest should not be low. As he spoke, Meng Yushan suddenly frowned and sighed with some embarrassment. It's a pity that we are short of manpower. If we can get more manpower. This sentence suddenly inspired some ideas of Zhu Dasheng. He couldn't help but brighten his eyes and asked, Meng Yushan, manpower is not a problem. Are there other casual cultivators nearby? Hearing this, Meng Yushan was stunned at first, and then immediately reacted, keenly aware of the deep meaning in the words. Sir, are you planning to recruit another group of independent cultivators? Meng Yushan asked in a low voice. Zhu Dasheng did not hide his thoughts and said, if we really want to grow and develop, it is not enough to rely on just the three of you. Indeed. Meng Yushan nodded, and said with some concern, however, the casual cultivators who can move around nearby are not very strong, but they are not too weak. How strong are the casual cultivators around here? Are they similar to your configuration? Meng Yushan introduced, some pure casual cultivators may act alone. Their strength is generally strong, probably in the late stage of qi refining, and may even reach the foundation establishment stage. Zhu Dasheng frowned slightly. He didn't believe that casual cultivators of this strength, who dared to act alone, didn't have some skills. However, as long as their strength did not reach the foundation establishment stage, they could be fearless in a one-on-many situation. What about casual cultivators like you? Most casual cultivators, if they go out to hunt wild animals, will also form a small team similar to ours, with about 5 to 10 people in similar configurations. The leader is in the late stage of qi refining, and the others are probably in the middle stage of qi refining, Meng Yushan said. Zhu Dasheng thought for a moment and asked cautiously, what is the strength of you 6 rounds among the independent cultivators? If it is in this area, it should be barely able to reach the upper middle level. After getting this answer, Zhu Daosheng finally had a general understanding of the strength of independent cultivators. Chapter 32, First Class Mid-Level Golden Sword Formation. Okay, you stay here first. Explore the surrounding situation recently. If there are other arrangements, I will come to you. Zhu Daosheng said a few words and returned directly to the island. After watering and fertilizing the spiritual field, Zhu Daosheng simply cooked some spiritual rice. Each grain was crystal clear and full, with a sweet and soft taste, and a strong sense of protection. The only flaw was the lack of some spiritual vegetables. Eating only spiritual rice was really a bit choking. When the spiritual field in the valley is well irrigated in the future, we must plant more spiritual plants of the same type to improve the quality of life. After filling his stomach, Zhu Daosheng returned to the underground cave while thinking and stayed at home peacefully. He habitually glanced at the purple air-green spiritual bamboo and the black patterned lotus in the spiritual spring, and then Zhu Daosheng's eyes lit up and he uttered a surprised sigh. The black patterned lotus sprouted. A few days ago, he had put the black patterned lotus seeds into the spiritual spring. There had been no reaction before, and it had always maintained a weak vitality. But there was no sign of sprouting. But at this time, the outer layer of the seed's dark brown coat was torn open, and a tender white bud emerged, with more than twice the vitality. In the rich spiritual liquid, the second level middle grade black patterned lotus, with a probability so low that it was negligible, actually came to life. Zhu Daosheng was so excited that he couldn't express it in words. This was the highest quality spiritual plant he had ever come into contact with. If it could mature smoothly, the spiritual stone income that this black patterned lotus could bring would definitely exceed 5,000 low-grade spiritual stones. As far as Zhu Daosheng knew, even in the entire Zhu family, the highest quality spiritual plant planted was only the second level middle grade, which was obtained by the previous patriarch at an auction at a large amount of spiritual stones. Now it has been planted in the Tanchai and is one of the most precious treasures in the family. Moreover, the germination of this seed in front of him represents more than just a black pattern lotus. It means that the environment of this spiritual spring is very suitable for the growth of black pattern lotus, so it can be planted for a long time in the future, which is a long-term benefit. With excitement, Zhu Daosheng checked the purple qi-green bamboo again. After these days of growth, the level of the purple qi-green bamboo has been getting closer to the second level, and it is only one step away from successfully breaking through the original level. This green bamboo, which was originally only the first grade upper grade, is gradually transforming into a more precious natural treasure under the nurturing of the innate purple qi. The 6 green bamboo shoots are also growing vigorously, and their size has increased a lot. They are also greener than ordinary green bamboos, and are stained with a trace of purple qi. The quality has reached the first grade middle grade. Zhu Daosheng is almost certain that after absorbing the innate purple qi, the quality of the purple qi green bamboo can definitely reach the second grade. Zhu Daosheng's eyes flickered, and his thoughts surged in his heart. In the formation inheritance, there seems to be a formation called Green Spirit Sword Formation, which uses green bamboo as the main body. The level reaches the first grade upper grade, both offensive and defensive, and the power is very powerful. This formation is what he kept in mind when he first checked the formation inheritance. After all, among the formation materials of Bailing Sword Formation, the most precious Bailing bamboo happened to be in his possession, and it was the higher quality purple qi Bailing bamboo. If he could set up the Bailing Sword Formation, the power would be absolutely terrifying, and it would be very likely to reach the peak of the first grade upper grade. It seems that I have to speed up. I hope that before the Bailing bamboo shoots mature, I can successfully become a first grade upper grade formation master. Zhu Daosheng secretly made up his mind and set a goal for himself. Returning to the training room, he took out the formation inheritance, found the formation diagram of the first grade middle grade, golden sword formation, and devoted himself to studying it. The first grade lower grade formation is relatively simple, but it is just the foundation of the formation, and the first grade lower grade formation master can only be regarded as an entry level. The first grade middle grade formation is more complicated, and the difficulty of setting up is completely different. It took Zhu Daosheng half a month just to learn and memorize the content of the formation diagram. Golden Sword Formation is mainly used for attacking. When controlled by the formation master, its power can reach the late 7th level of Qi training, which should not be underestimated in the Qi training stage. However, Zhu Daosheng does not plan to set up this formation in the underground cave, because it is already very safe here. To the north of the island is the island of Zhudaobai and Jiayanzai. If there is any danger, they will definitely pass through them first. As for the south, it was indeed necessary to take precautions in the past to prevent someone from crossing the peaked Balan Lake like Meng Yushan and others, but now it is completely unnecessary. Meng Yushan and his 3 men are stationed in the southern valley. Anyone who wants to come here needs to pass through them, which greatly improves safety. Therefore, Zhu Daosheng plans to set up this Golden Sword Formation directly in the valley, which is the most likely place for fighting. If a set of first-level medium-grade formation can be set up, the defense will be much better. After conducting a field survey, Zhu Daosheng found that the valley was generally east-west oriented, with a relatively wide terrain in the middle and narrow terrain on both sides. The Lincoln Pool was right in the middle, with enough space to arrange the Golden Sword Formation. However, the widest area in the middle was needed to irrigate the spiritual fields and plant spiritual plants, so it was not suitable to occupy too much. At this time, Meng Yushan gave a suggestion. Sir, there is a small road on the east side of this valley. If people outside want to come in, they can only enter from there. That's what we did at the time. Can't we come in from other directions? Zhu Daosheng asked in confusion. Meng Yushan thought for a while and said, the mountains in other directions are too high, and the terrain outside is very complicated. Only there is a gap in the east, which can be seen at a glance. Anyone with a sound mind should come from the east. Walk. I see. Zhu Daosheng was thoughtful, but for safety reasons, he still went outside the valley to conduct a personal survey of the mountain. After all, this was his territory, and he would spend at least a long time here. Even if the family agrees, it will not be a problem to stay here forever in the future. Therefore, you can never be too careful. The terrain outside is indeed as Meng Yushan said. Except for the obvious road to the east, the rest is full of rugged rocks, with many fractures and deep ditches, making it impossible to pass. In that case, the east side is indeed the only entrance. After Zhu Daosheng confirmed it, he inspected the east entrance and confirmed the location of the formation. This time, the process of arranging the formation was not easy. After all, it was a first-order mid-level formation, and the process was not a little complicated. So after all, there were some minor accidents. Because of slight errors, the entire formation fell short. Fortunately, only a small part was destroyed, and other materials could still be used, so the damage was not magnified. Chapter 33 Auction. After 2 adjustments and improvements, and a lot of effort, this set of first-level mid-grade, Golden Sword Formation, was finally successfully arranged. Zhu Daosheng was also successfully promoted to a first-level mid-level array mage. Call Meng Yushan and 3 people and give them the method of controlling the formation. If an enemy invades here in the future, they will be blocked directly with the Golden Sword Formation. Moreover, the terrain here is easy to defend and difficult to attack. With the help of Meng Yushan and 3 people, with such strength, it would not be a problem to block a strong person at the 9th level of Qi training. After doing this, Meng Yushan found Zhu Daosheng and said, Sir, the settlement here is considered complete. There are still many open spaces in the valley. We plan to open up spiritual fields. Which crops do you think are more suitable for planting? Have you measured the specific scope? How many spiritual fields can be reclaimed? A conservative estimate of 15 acres. If you add in the scattered land in the surrounding corners, it will probably be closer to 18 acres. Meng Yushan had obviously already understood it and answered directly without much thought. The number of spiritual fields that can be cultivated is less than Zhu Daosheng expected. He originally thought that more than 20 acres could be cultivated, but thinking about it, this valley seems to be quite large, but in fact it is long and strip-shaped, and the actual usable area is not very large. After Zhu Daosheng considered it, he said, Then cultivate 15 acres. The remaining area can be used for other purposes. You can water all these 15 acres of spiritual fields into first-level high-grade spiritual fields. As for the seeds, we will go there together later. Buy it in Beifang City. When he was on the island, he was worried that the quality of the spiritual field would be too high and would attract the attention of the family, so he did not dare to raise the level unscrupulously. However, in this hidden valley, Zhu Daosheng could water it with confidence and boldness. A week later. When Zhu Daosheng came to the valley again, 15 acres of high-quality spiritual land had been cultivated and evenly arranged around the Lincoln Pool. It contained rich spiritual energy and was very different from ordinary soil. "Sir, are you going to Beifang City?" Meng Yushan's face glowed red, his aura strengthened a lot, and it was obvious that his spiritual veins had played a lot of role. The same goes for Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin. They used to be casual cultivators with no fixed place and no fixed spiritual vein cultivation. They barely reached the 6th and 7th levels of qi refining when they were over 40 years old. Now that they have spiritual veins, they have devoted themselves almost wholeheartedly to cultivation. The aura on Zhang Yin's body has almost reached the peak of the 6th level of qi refining, and is about to break through to the 7th level of qi refining. Zhu Daosheng nodded and said, "You guys pack up and let's go to Beifang City together." A month later, a group of 4 people came to Beifang City. When Zhu Daosheng was about to go to the grocery store to select the seeds he needed to buy, he was interrupted by a voice behind him. "Meng Yushan?" Zhu Daosheng turned around curiously and saw a tall and thin man walking from a distance. He was dressed in green cloth and linen and had the 8th level of qi refining. As he approached, the tall and lanky man said, "Old Meng, have you found a perfect place to hunt monsters recently? You have disappeared for such a long time. Seeing that your face is glowing, it seems that you have gained a good harvest." Meng Yushan frowned slightly and looked at Zhu Daosheng with a questioning look, as if he was worried about being misunderstood. Zhu Daosheng didn't say much, gave him a look that let him do whatever he wanted, and then retreated to the rear. After receiving Zhu Daosheng's promise, Meng Yushan glanced at this person casually and said, "What?" Meng disappeared for a few days. "Do you still miss Lin?" "Haha, that's not the case. But you and I are old acquaintances. If we have the opportunity to hunt monsters together, I would be very happy." The tall and thin man smiled and wanted to reach out to hook Meng Yushan's shoulders, but Meng Yushan was stopped by him. Yushan avoided in disgust. Zhu Daosheng could tell that the two of them had known each other for a long time. They might have had some minor conflicts before, but the overall relationship was pretty good, and they were probably Zhu Daosheng's friends. "If nothing else, what's the point of stopping me on the street?" Meng Yushan said angrily. "Haha, it's okay." "Did you know that Zun Pavilion recently organized an auction in Beifang City?" "Auction?" Meng Yushan said thoughtfully. "A large-scale auction under the name of Zun Pavilion?" "Yes, Beifang City is not the Fang City. It is not easy to hold an auction like this. Let's go and see it together then." Meng Yushan thought for a moment and refused. "Let's just go together, but I will go and have a look when I have time." "Okay, I won't delay you any longer." It can be seen that the relationship between the two parties is good. After the two parties communicated for a while, they said goodbye and separated. Meng Yushan, who is this person? Is he also a casual cultivator of this generation? After everyone left, Zhu Daosheng came out from behind and asked with interest. Meng Yushan explained briefly, "Yes, sir, I had just broken through the 7th level of qi training and joined a seniors hunting team." Lin Yuan was also among them at that time. He was also at the 7th level of qi training, so there was a period of friendship, and this person has a good temperament, so even if they separated later, they will always be in contact. Zhu Daosheng nodded. Among casual cultivators, they also have their own circles. This is normal. What's going on at the auction is such that Meng Yushan knew that although Zhu Daosheng was powerful and a noble formation master, his experience in all aspects were immature and he was not experienced in the world, so he explained in detail. Among monks, there are generally 2 forms of item exchange meetings. One of them is a small-scale secret exchange meeting, It is usually led by some monks with higher status and invites some monks with similar strength to exchange items. Most of them there are many barter exchanges and you can participate in them from time to time. The other type is a large auction led by some big forces or large chambers of commerce. It is relatively formal and has higher quality resources. But the number is relatively small, especially in a small market like Bay Market. It is possible that there may not be one for several years. After hearing this, Zhu Daosheng understood. He knew about auctions, and had heard about them from his family elders, but he had never participated in one. As for small exchange meetings, this was the first time Zhu Daosheng had heard of them, which was considered to have broadened his horizons. Can we participate in the auction? Zhu Daosheng asked. For small auctions like this, you can participate as long as you pay the ticket fee. Meng Yushan replied. I see. Zhu Daosheng slightly, and then asked, can such an auction be auctioned by consignment? Meng Yushan scratched his head, thought for a long time and said ambiguously, I'm not sure about this. It should be possible, but there are probably some restrictions. It's impossible to take whole items to the auction. Zhu Daosheng rubbed his eyebrows. It seems that Meng Yushan doesn't know much about this, so he didn't ask any more questions, but made a decision. Go buy seeds first, and then go to the auction. Chapter 34 Formation Materials, Yellow Thorn Vine. Zhu Daosheng has considered the seeds he needs to buy this time. 15 mu of first-grade spiritual fields must be planted with first-grade spiritual plants to maximize the benefits. Zhu Daosheng needs to consider two aspects. One is to improve strength and meet his own cultivation needs. The other is economic value, which can earn more spiritual stones. If he considers cultivation, he will naturally choose to plant essence spiritual grains and earth grass as last time. Long-term use can improve the speed of cultivation and break through to the 8th level of qi refining as soon as possible. As for which spiritual plants can be exchanged for more spiritual stones, Zhu Daosheng himself was not clear, so he asked the experienced Meng Yushan. But Meng Yushan was also very embarrassed about this question. If there's a spiritual plant that can obtain more spiritual energy after planting, wouldn't everyone plant it? Zhu Daosheng thought so too. His demand was too vague. So after some thought, he chose to settle for the second best. After careful consideration, he chose a spiritual plant that was useless to others but could create greater value in his hands. Yellow Thorn Vine. This is a first-level spiritual plant, which is generally of the first-level medium or high grade. It has higher requirements for the growth environment and requires rich spiritual energy to grow high-quality yellow thorn vine. This kind of spiritual plant is actually relatively less useful. It can neither be used for alchemy nor for making talismans, but it can be used as a material for refining weapons and whip-like weapons. However, among the materials of the same level, other exquisite materials such as green stem spiritual vine are more suitable for refining weapons. This leads to the very awkward positioning of yellow thorn vine. Although it can be planted, the spiritual stone income is very low, and few people pay attention to it. However, in the array inheritance obtained by Zhu Daosheng, there are exactly two powerful arrays that need to use yellow thorn vine. Generally speaking, array diagrams are extremely precious and are not widely circulated in the market. In addition to the master-disciple inheritance, array masters rarely communicate with each other in other situations, so this is Zhu Daosheng's unique array. One is called Thorn Vine Formation, a first-level medium-grade formation, which combines control and attack effects. Whether it is fighting against the enemy or hunting wild beasts, it has very good effects. The other is called 100 Vine Formation, a first-level high-grade formation, which is considered an advanced version of Thorn Vine Formation. The yellow thorn vine used is of higher quality and more in quantity, so the attack and control effects are also stronger, and the number of thorn vines released is more, and the power is not bad. The main material used in these two formations is yellow thorn vine, and the formation itself has a wide range of uses. Whether it is family forces or casual cultivators, it can be used, and there is no worry about sales. After making a decision, Zhu Daosheng no longer hesitated. In the end, a large number of yellow thorn vine seedlings were purchased. The price was not expensive, but it also consumed all the spirit stones on his body. After purchasing, Meng Yushan found an inn and stayed temporarily in Beifang City. It can be clearly seen that the flow of people in Beifang market has increased in the past few days. The hawking on the street has become much louder. Many independent cultivators have also returned from the wilderness. Many family forces have come here specifically, obviously to participate in the auction of Zun Pavilion. At such a turbulent time, Zhu Dasheng is more low-key and unwilling to get into trouble, so he has been practicing in the inn. Each room in the inn has a strong sound insulation effect and very good confidentiality. As long as you don't go out, there will be no accidents. However, today, before the auction starts, Zhu Dasheng plans to go to Zun Pavilion. After all, although the 4 people plan to participate in the auction, they are short of money and don't even have a low-grade spirit stone on them. It is really a bit shabby. At present, the only things Zhu Dasheng can sell and exchange for spirit stones are only 2 items. 2 sets of falling stone formations and 2 bottles of undiluted spirit spring liquid. Although the quality of the falling rock formation is only the first grade inferior, it is a formation after all, and its price is far higher than that of items of the same level, with a market price of about 200 inferior spiritual stones. The spiritual spring liquid is also of high value, because although most forces have spiritual veins, they do not have treasures such as the spiritual spring eye, so it is impossible to obtain such a rich spiritual essence. Moreover, this kind of extremely rich spiritual liquid with the quality of the second grade has a wide range of uses. If some is added during the process of alchemy and refining, there is a high probability of improving the success rate and quality. Zhu Dasheng conservatively estimated that a small bottle of palm-sized spiritual spring liquid is worth more than 500 spiritual stones. If it is at the auction, the price should be higher. The value of 2 bottles exceeds 1,000 inferior spiritual stones. Therefore, before the auction begins, Zhu Dasheng must go to Zun Pavilion in advance to find a way to sell the falling rock formation and the spiritual spring liquid, or add these 2 items to the auction. Zhu Dasheng did not call Zhang Yin and Huang Zhao, but left alone with Meng Yushan and went to Zun Pavilion. Meng Yushan was still dressed as usual, and Zhu Dasheng also wore a black robe and covered his face to prevent his identity from being exposed. Because both the formation and the existence of the spiritual spring liquid were very sensitive and not suitable to be revealed in front of people, of course, including Zhu Dasheng's identity. Not only would it lead to the disaster of killing, it might also bring some unnecessary trouble to the Zhu family, so if necessary, the identity must be concealed. At the same time, Zhu Dasheng was also thinking about a problem in his mind. As his main means, the formation will need to be sold frequently in the future. It's okay once or twice, but you can't wear a black robe to cover your identity every time you trade, right? It seems that I need to think of a way to find a suitable identity to trade. Zhu Dasheng thought about it, letting this matter sink deep in his heart as something to consider during the next period of time. All the way to Zun Pavilion. The shop is tall and noble, 4 stories high. It is made of special scented wood. Right above it is a huge plaque with 3 gilt characters, Zun Pavilion. Meng Yushan walked in front and went straight to the depths of the store, but he did not find a higher status steward, so he randomly found a clerk and asked bluntly, "Is the store manager here?" The clerk with a mustache looked at Meng Yushan and said, "What do you want? If you want to buy something, you can talk to me directly." Meng Yushan shook his head. "You can't talk about selling resources. Your Excellency, please don't underestimate me. Although my status is not high, I can still make the final decision on the purchase and sale of ordinary cultivation resources." The mustached clerk stroked his beard, and it seemed that he had high qualifications. Meng Yushan looked back at Zhu Dasheng, as if seeking advice. Zhu Dasheng slightly, and then Meng Yushan took out a set of formations and said, "Can you also make the final decision on the selection of items for the auction?" Seeing the items that Meng Yushan took out, the Bazu's eyes widened, he lowered his posture, and there was an awkward smile in his eyes. He hurriedly said, "I'll go find the manager right away." 5 minutes later, a woman with a graceful figure walked down from the 2nd floor. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35. Aunt Kinmu. The woman has a graceful figure, wearing a lavender cheongsam. Her slender waist is slightly twisting like a water snake to outline a perfect curve, and the exposed thigh skin reveals an alluring rhythm. Sir, go upstairs and talk. Her smoky eyes looked past Meng Yushan in front of her. The woman looked at Zhu Daosheng behind her and spoke softly. Zhu Daosheng raised his eyebrows slightly, secretly thinking that this woman was not simple. Her every move was full of charm, but her aura was unpredictable, and her strength was definitely not weak. He calmly stepped upstairs and looked at Yui's twisting waist in front of him. For a time, the sun and menstruation in the body moved involuntarily, and a mysterious feeling appeared in my heart. Zhu Daosheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and his thoughts seemed to be out of control. He could vaguely feel that the talent of the woman in front of him seemed to be higher than that of Zhao Yunzai, which made his body involuntarily feel a desire. It would be great if I could sleep with this girl for one night. Before he could finish thinking about it, Zhu Daosheng was shocked. He quickly suppressed this thought, suppressed the desire in his heart, and at the same time became vigilant. The secret method of sun and menstruation is really terrible. It actually messed up my mind. Zhu Daosheng has a lot of thoughts, but fortunately, at present, this influence is not very serious, but when a woman with higher talent appears, it will make Zhu Daosheng feel inexplicably possessive. Even though the impact was not big, Zhu Daosheng still made up his mind to be more careful to avoid turning himself into a beast. However, it is not completely without disadvantages. At least this ability to sense other people's talents can be regarded as a unique method. As if she felt the gaze behind her, Aunt Kinmu, who was walking in front, frowned, and her voice was soft and sweet. Have you seen enough, fellow Taoist? Do you need the little woman to walk again so that fellow Taoist can enjoy it? The expressions of the two people behind him froze, and the situation suddenly felt awkward. At the critical moment, Zhu Daosheng quickly lowered his voice and said sternly, Ahem, Dao Meng, don't be unreasonable. Although this girl is beautiful, fragrant, and has an all-powerful appearance, she is really shocking to everyone in the world, but you can't do it either. I kept staring, apologized to the girl. Meng Yushan's pupils widened, and he was speechless and choked. His face turned red. After a long time, he held back a sentence. I just lost my temper below. I hope the girl will forgive me. Aunt Kinmu raised her eyebrows, couldn't help but twitch the corners of her mouth, and shook her head helplessly. After entering the room on the second floor, Aunt Kinmu skillfully asked Zhu Daosheng to sit down, and made tea elegantly and gracefully, with very sophisticated movements. Zhu Daosheng's eyes flickered. Although this person looked very delicate and charming, and was experienced in dealing with things, judging from his age, he was definitely no more than 30 years old. Strictly speaking, she was slightly older than Zhu Daosheng. The contrast between her age and her sophistication made Zhu Daosheng a little curious and a little more vigilant. Fellow Taoist, please have some tea. Aunt Kinmu pushed a cup of hot tea forward and said, this is a private room, and there will be no outsiders to disturb you. You can take off your robe without worries. Maybe it will be better if you and I can talk frankly! The soft touch of red lips and the soft voice are refreshing. Even the experienced Meng Yushan couldn't help but swallow his saliva, and was a little afraid to look directly. Zhu Daosheng's mental power was strong enough to suppress the influence of sun and menstruation, so he was not affected. He lowered his voice and said, forget about taking off your robe. Please respect yourself, girl. It's just for transaction. No need to say anything else. Aunt Kinmu smiled faintly, thinking that the person in front of her was pretending to be serious and did not take it seriously. She said directly, since fellow Taoist is so cheerful, let's get to the point directly. Zhu Daosheng didn't say much, and took out 2 sets of falling stone formations and placed them on the table between the two of them. Aunt Kinmu glanced over it and didn't pay much attention at first. After all, the quality of the formation can be seen at a glance, and it is only a first-level low-grade one. Although formations are rare, There are always some families that have formation inheritance. After these formations are circulated in the market, some powerful forces can still obtain some. However, when Aunt Kinmu took a closer look, she showed a surprised expression. Your two sets of formations are not from the Huang family on Luoyang Island. Huang family? Zhu Dasheng was stunned, and the information about this family immediately appeared in his mind, and he instantly understood why the other party asked such a question. In the entire Qingshan sect, there are not many families with complete formation inheritance, and they are near Beifang City. The only ones who can sell formations in Beifang City are the Huang family of Luoyang Island. This is a very powerful foundation-building family, at least much stronger than the Zhu family. It has 7 strong foundation-building experts with a solid inheritance, and the strongest one has reached the 8th level of foundation building. Whenever a formation appears near Beifang City, it is likely to come from the Huang family on Luoyang Island. Because of this, Aunt Kinmu preconceived the idea that Zhu Dasheng was from the Huang family, but when I saw the falling stone formation, in a blink of an eye, I dismissed this speculation, precisely because the Huang family is famous. Most people are well aware of the several first-order low-grade formations they possess, but there is absolutely no such falling stone formation in front of them. Zhu Dasheng's eyes were calm. He shook his head and said, I am not from the Huang family. Can these 2 formations be auctioned at the auction? Aunt Kinmu smiled sweetly. Of course you can. If you have other formations, you can also sell them to Zun Pavilion, no matter whether there is an auction or not. Zun Pavilion is willing to buy them. I got it by accident. These are the only 2 sets. Is it just an accidental acquisition? There was a hint of suspicion in Aunt Kinmu's eyes, but she didn't ask too much. Besides these 2 formations, do you have any other items to auction? Zhu Dasheng calmly took out 2 small bottles. Plus this. Aunt Kinmu took the small bottle with her delicate jade fingers and gently brushed her fingers. Zhu Dasheng dodged calmly. Aunt Kinmu's eyes did not change. She sniffed lightly, and a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. Spiritual liquid, or second grade? Zhu Dasheng nodded slightly. Yes. This spiritual liquid is pure and rich. It should come from a natural spiritual spring. I wonder if you have any other spiritual liquid. Zhu Dasheng frowned slightly, and couldn't help but sigh that this woman was experienced. Just from the quality of the spiritual liquid, she noticed the source of the spiritual liquid. Still the same rhetoric, Zhu Dasheng calmly replied. It was obtained by accident, only 2 bottles. Also, obtained by accident. Aunt Kinmu couldn't help but raise her eyebrows, staring at Zhu Dasheng, as if trying to see something. Zhu Dasheng was not moved at all, and smiled and said, Miss Qin, do you have any questions? If I can't auction it, I can sell it somewhere else. Of course I can auction it. Seeing that Zhu Dasheng's tone was slightly distant, Aunt Kinmu stopped asking questions and took out a small token and handed it to Zhu Dasheng. The items meet the auction requirements. This is the entrance token for the auction. The auction will officially start in 2 days. You can enter for free as the owner of the auction items. Welcome to your presence, Aunt Kinmu said in a gentle voice and appropriate words. Zhu Dasheng nodded, motioned Meng Yushan to take it, and then turned and left. Looking at Zhu Dasheng's figure moving away, a middle-aged man walked out from behind Aunt Kinmu and said in a deep voice, Aunt Mu, how are the items? Chapter 36, Precious Items. Aunt Kinmu's eyes flickered, and after a long silence she said, Second uncle, look at this formation and the spiritual fluid. What do you think? Haha, Aunt Mu is joking. You should know better about these things. Second uncle, I don't understand. Then, the man asked with some confusion, what's wrong? Is there something wrong with something? Aunt Kinmu shook her head slightly. The things are very good, but there are some issues with their origin. Oh? The middle-aged man frowned in confusion. Could it be that the other party is an evil cultivator and the things were plundered? Aunt Kinmu stood in front of the window. The cheongsam that fit her body showed exquisite curves. She supported her chin with her fingers and shook her head to deny this statement. Probably not. What I mean is that their identities seem to be somewhat special, and they are probably not ordinary monks. How can you tell? Look at the spiritual liquid. It should be the spiritual liquid from the second level spiritual spring eyes, but I know all the families in the nearby area that have second level spiritual spring eyes, and these two people are not among them. After saying this, the middle-aged man thought thoughtfully, indeed, there are very few families that can possess second-level spiritual veins, and the number of families with second-level spiritual spring eyes can be counted on one hand. And Kinmu nodded and said, so there are only two possibilities. The first is that they came from other places and are not local forces in this area. The second possibility is that they discovered a place that has never been discovered before. Lincoln I. Which one do you prefer? The second type, Aunt Kinmu replied calmly, then took it out of the storage bag and exchanged it for the falling stone array, and then slowly said, there are also these two sets of formations. This person said they were obtained by accident. However, when I look at the details of the formation disk, they have not been used, and there are no historical traces. It is most likely that they were refined recently. When the middle-aged man heard this, he raised his eyebrows and said, just refined. Could it be that he is an array master? That's wrong. But the man quickly denied it. If he were an array master, wouldn't he knows the difference between the old and new arrays, the details that even Aunt Mu can see. An array master should know better. Aunt Kinmu slightly, so he should have exposed it to me on purpose. Why? Aunt Kinmu smiled and said, selling formation shows that he lacks spiritual stones. Deliberately exposing his identity shows that he has plans to trade. This person will probably sell formation discs in the future. Be careful in the future. If this person seeks cooperation, you can contact. If Zhu Dasheng were present and heard these remarks, he would definitely be in awe. Because of this woman's analysis, his purpose has been analyzed to the fullest. He naturally knew that anyone with some experience could easily identify these formations. Are they newly refined formations? The reason for doing this is just to make his identity more elusive and to test Zun Pavilion's attitude. From now on, the sale of formations will be inevitable. If Zun Pavilion intends to win over him or is willing to cooperate, Zhu Dasheng will naturally want it. Leave Zun Pavilion. Sir, if you take out two valuable items in succession, we may attract the attention of Zun Pavilion. Oh, will they kill people and seize treasures? That's not true, but they may investigate us, especially my identity, which can be easily found out, Meng Yushan said with some worry. Rogue cultivators like Meng Yushan, yes, have a natural grudge against powerful forces. They are two opposing parties, so they are particularly sensitive in this regard. Zhu Dasheng didn't care. Just check it out. The world is full of hustle and bustle, all for the benefit of others. Meng Yushan thoughtfully and said nothing more. After interacting with him every day, he knew that the young man in front of him was not a young and frivolous person, and he was quite capable. 2 days later, the Zun Pavilion auction officially begins. The auction, which was rare in several years, attracted many surrounding forces. A large number of monks gathered in Beifang City and became extremely lively. Although top-level resources such as foundation establishment pills did not appear in this auction, there were also many precious items whose value should not be underestimated. For example, a second-level mid-level magic weapon with a plated fine iron rod, a second-level ice mysterious water diluent, and a set of second-level low-level exercises. Golden feather flower and so on. There is even news that the final auction items of this auction are a second-order low-grade iron-armored puppet and half a purple monkey flower. It is precisely because of these two items that it attracts so many people, because the meaning they represent is extraordinary. The second-level low-grade iron-armored puppet is equivalent to a monk in the early stage of foundation building, although its actual combat power is not as good as that of a foundation-building strongman, and each time it is used, a large amount of spiritual stones are consumed. But its value cannot be underestimated. For the Qilian family, if they can obtain this puppet, it means they have a foundation-building warrior, and the overall strength of the family is barely among the foundation-building families. It is even possible to use the puppet's strength to earn enough spirit stones for the family to speed up the process of purchasing the foundation establishment pill. Even for a foundation-building family, if this puppet can be obtained, It can also be used as the family's trump card, greatly increasing the family's foundation. Another item, the purple monkey flower, is of equally extraordinary value. It is one of the three main materials of the foundation establishment pill. Although the specific formula of the foundation establishment pill is owned by only a few powerful forces, the main materials for refining the three flavors of the foundation establishment pill are widely circulated in the cultivation world. They are chalcedony mushroom, tangerine fruit, and purple monkey flower. The main reason why the foundation building pill is so precious is that the materials are scarce. Even powerful forces can hardly gather them together easily. As powerful as King Shan's sect was, the last time they opened the furnace to refine the foundation building pill was 15 years ago, which shows how precious the materials are. Among these three materials, the jade marrow mushroom and the heavenly spirit fruit are both second-grade upper-grade natural treasures, far from being available to everyone. Although the purple monkey flower is only a second-grade medium grade, it is also expensive and is sought after by many forces. When Zhu Dasheng learned that there would be these two items at the auction, he knew that this auction would be very fierce. However, those who competed for these two items must be powerful forces, and have nothing to do with small figures like Zhu Dasheng. It just so happened that he could take advantage of others snatching the second-grade lower-grade puppets and purple monkey flowers to try to bid for some other auction items at a lower price. Zhu Dasheng brought Meng Yushan to the Zun Pavilion auction house early. As the owner of the auction item, they got a small private room on the second floor, equipped with tea, cakes and spiritual fruits. The environment was much better than the ordinary seats below. The auction started soon. The host was a graceful woman about 30 years old. She was proficient in auctions and should have been specially trained by Zun Pavilion. Fellow Taoists, I think everyone understands the rules of the auction. Now let's invite the first auction item, a first-class magic weapon, a red gold iron knife, from the Bei family, a family of weapon refiners. And it was the last head of the Bei family. Chapter 37 Green-bearded shrimp fry. The red gold iron knife can add more than 3 layers of strength to the late-stage Qi training strongman. The starting price is 500 low-grade spirit stones. The first lot is a first-grade upper-grade magic weapon. The quality is excellent, almost close to the level of a second-grade magic weapon. Zhu Dasheng couldn't help but be moved. Magic weapons greatly increase the strength of cultivators. Whether two cultivators of the same level have a handy magic weapon has a great impact on the strength of both parties. If a cultivator has a set of matching magic weapons, talismans, pills, formations, and even puppets and beasts, then the strength can be increased by more than double. Especially for a cultivator like Zhu Dasheng with a special practice, he has extremely strong defense and sustained combat capabilities, and the demand for attacking magic weapons is particularly great. It's a pity that Zhu Dasheng has always been short of money. In addition to the formation, he can't afford other resources. Looking at the red gold iron knife in front of him, Zhu Dasheng thought carefully and still didn't buy it. After all, the Zhu family is also a family of weapon refiners. Even if they want to buy magic tools, they will definitely buy them at home, and they can also make them according to their own needs to be more suitable for themselves. While thinking, the price of the red gold fine iron knife has been increased to 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. The price of an ordinary first-grade upper-grade magic tool is about 800 and 1,200 low-grade spirit stones. After reaching this level, Zhu Dasheng is even less likely to make a move. Finally, a red gold fine iron knife was obtained by a casual cultivator who has established his foundation. Most casual cultivators do not have a stable source of income, so they have fewer spirit stones. Even if they reach the foundation building stage, many cannot afford a second-grade magic tool. The second auction item is 5 first-grade upper-grade thunder and fire talismans, with a starting price of 100 spirit stones, which is much lower than the price of magic tools. Zhu Dasheng tried to bid, but after only 5 rounds, the price was raised to 350 spirit stones, which exceeded expectations, so he gave up directly. Zhu Dasheng shook his head helplessly. All the things are good, but the price is too expensive. The third auction item is the falling rock formation. The first grade inferior should be the lowest quality auction item at this auction, But no one showed disdain, because the formation itself is very rare. Even the first grade inferior is highly sought after. Many hunting teams, even if they only have a set of first grade inferior formations, will greatly increase their safety. So, the formation with a starting price of 100 spirit stones soon reached 160 inferior spirit stones, and finally the two sets of formations were sold for a total of 380 inferior spirit stones, which was beyond Zhu Daosheng's expectation. If it is sold to Zen Pavilion, the price will probably not be that high. After the first income, Zhu Daosheng's confidence increased a lot, and if he needs to buy the auction items later, he can also bid with confidence. But he didn't notice that in a private room somewhere, an old man in a brocade robe, with several middle-aged men standing behind him, immediately turned ugly when they saw the formation in the auction item, and snorted coldly. HMPH, I didn't expect that in Beifang Market, in addition to our Huang family, there would be other formations flowing in. The middle-aged man behind him thought for a moment, bowed slightly, and analyzed respectfully. Fourth uncle, other formation families should know the rules, and it is impossible for them to sell formations to Beifang Market. They should be some small forces that don't know the rules, and they are just first-level low-grade formations, which are not to be feared. Zhongyin, this matter is not big or small, but the formation is the foundation of my Huang family after all. Remember not to be careless. Strengthen the monitoring of the market transactions in the future. If someone sells formations, remember to notify me. Yes, fourth elder exclamation mark. The next few auction items are also first-level medium quality to high-quality magic tools, elixirs, talismans, natural materials and treasures, etc., with prices ranging from 300 to 1,000. The 13th auction item, Zhu Daosheng's second auction item, 2 bottles of Linquin liquid, appeared. In theory, as a second-level material, the value of Linquin liquid is at least more than 1,000 lingxi, or even higher. But because the quantity was too small, the price was severely suppressed. Finally, it was purchased by a foundation-building family proficient in alchemy at a price of 600 low-grade spirit stones per bottle, a total of 1,200 low-grade spirit stones. Zhu Daosheng's face was excited. The auction did not disappoint him. This was the largest amount of spirit stone income he had ever obtained, a full 1,580 low-grade spirit stones. Of course, most of it came from the spirit spring liquid, which was not a sustainable income. If the spirit spring liquid was sold in large quantities, it would likely cause the spirit spring eye to dry up, which was really not worth the loss. If it was not for a last resort, Zhu Daosheng would not have been able to fish in a dry pond and overuse the spirit liquid in the spirit spring eye. If he wanted to obtain spirit stones in the future, he must find other ways. Now, is the 18th lot, 6 first-grade green-bearded shrimp seedlings, 2 males and 4 females, starting price 100 low-grade spirit stones. After the words fell, Zhu Daosheng's eyes lit up. Green-bearded shrimp, Meng Yushan, do you know this kind of shrimp? Zhu Daosheng had never heard of green-bearded shrimp, but since the seedlings were auctioned at the auction, it meant that there was a high probability that they could be bred and cultivated, which made him very excited. Meng Yushan thought for a moment and said, "Sir, this is a carnivorous shrimp, with plump meat, rich in spiritual energy, and relatively docile personality, suitable for family forces to cultivate, and can be raised in the spiritual spring pool in our valley." It's true. Zhu Daosheng nodded slightly. Most of the monsters in the world of cultivation are extremely fierce and extremely difficult to tame. But there are also a small number of docile personalities that can be used as meat. 500 low-grade spirit stones. Zhu Daosheng raised the price by 100, but was soon drowned out by other voices. 550 low-grade spiritual stones. I'll pay 600. It's just 6 green-bearded spiritual shrimp seedlings. Whether they can be fed or not is a question. That's all. I will give you 100 more spiritual stones and 700 low-grade spiritual stones. Someone sneered, quite disdainful of this clumsy method. and directly increased the price to 750 low-grade spiritual stones. If the 6 green-bearded shrimp seedlings can be successfully bred, they will represent a complete production chain. From now on, green-bearded shrimps will be continuously provided every year, and the spiritual stone benefits they bring will be far beyond what can be compared with hundreds of spiritual stones. Under normal circumstances, the net income of a first-grade high-grade spiritual shrimp in a year will never be less than 2,000, or even more. This is a huge temptation for most chi refining and foundation building families. However, what the person said before was right. If the breeding fails and all the shrimp larvae die, the money will be wasted. Therefore, when the price is close to 800 low-grade spiritual stones, the voices of quotations are much less. Zhu Dasheng had thoughts in his eyes. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to give it a try. Since he had a spiritual spring eye, the water source was of high quality, and the success rate was still very high. 1,000 spirit stones. When the price was reported, the entire venue was quiet for a few seconds. After it reached 4 figures, the price-performance ratio of green-bearded shrimp seedlings was much higher, and many families were unwilling to take risks. As the transaction was successful, Zhu Dasheng breathed a long sigh of relief and finally managed to capture the 6 shrimp fry without any danger. Chapter 38 Ink Silk Cloud Pattern Stockings. Not long after, the waiter from Zun Pavilion came to the private room with a sealed glass box containing 6 small shrimp fry. The maid respectfully said, "Senior, this is the item you bid for. The spiritual stones consumed will be deducted from the income from the sale of the auction item." Zhu Dasheng took it over. The shrimp seedlings were very small and swam in the diluted spiritual liquid. They had plenty of vitality and seemed to have a high chance of survival. After confirming that everything was correct, he placed the box on the table beside him. Living things could not be put into storage bags, so he needed to be extra careful during transportation. After purchasing the green-bearded spiritual shrimp, he was no longer eligible for other auction items. The prices of most of the auction items were far beyond his ability to afford. He could only sigh in despair and secretly thought that he had to work hard to earn spiritual stones. When the auction was coming to an end and was about to enter the final auction stage, Zhu Dasheng went to the backstage in advance, took away his own spiritual stones, and then left the auction site. The competition between the second-level iron-armored puppet and the purple monkey flower was not something he could participate in at all, including the disputes that might occur after the auction, which were even more dangerous. Therefore, Zhu Dasheng chose to leave early and took the remaining 580 low-grade spiritual stones to buy some items needed for life and cultivation. In terms of life, in order to prepare for the expansion of power in advance, a batch of daily necessities needed to be purchased, such as clothes, luminous stones, communication stones, pots and pans, etc., are all common items, and the price is not expensive, only costing 50 low-grade spirit stones. In addition, cultivation items are relatively expensive. I spent more than 300 spirit stones to buy some first-level medium-grade healing pills and Fuiyuan pills, which can restore spiritual energy and heal injuries. They are the most commonly used pills for chi refining cultivators. Before the auction ended, Zhu Dasheng took Meng Yushan and the other 2 and set off on the return journey. Compared to when I first came, I now have a lot more resources. After returning to the valley, I planted both the farming and breeding industries can develop. Yellow thorn vines and green-bearded shrimps are very good resources. The 7th day of the return journey. About halfway through the journey, we have already left Beifang City and entered the uninhabited wilderness. The number of monsters has increased dramatically. Holding a machete, Meng Yushan has killed a first-level medium-quality black wolf monster. He skillfully collected wolf teeth, peeled off the complete wolf skin, and covered the bloody smell. Just then, the sound of swords colliding came from the deep jungle in the distance. Someone. The 4 of them were alert at the same time. They ignored the corpse of the monster and looked vigilantly at the place where the sound came from. At the same time, they quickly bent down to avoid being exposed. The current location is already an area occupied by monsters. If there are cultivators, there are only 2 possibilities: either a team of family and sect forces, or a hunting team composed of scattered cultivators. Either way, it may bring great danger. My lord, there should be a dispute among the cultivators, Meng Yushan whispered. Zhu Dasheng frowned. He left the market early just to avoid disputes. He didn't expect to run into trouble halfway. Can we take a detour? Meng Yushan thought about it and drew a rough map on the ground based on the surrounding terrain. It's a bit troublesome. The mountain terrain here is complicated. If you take a detour, you need to walk more than half a month. More than half a month? Zhu Dasheng's face was a little ugly. After weighing it for a long time, he said in a deep voice, "It's too far. The green-bearded shrimp can't stand it for so long. Let's go and see what happened in front first. If it doesn't work, take a detour." Considering the time factor, Zhu Dasheng decided to check the situation first. He restrained his breath and approached the front carefully. The sound of fighting became more and more obvious, and the roars of both sides came into his ears. When he heard the sound, Meng Yushan's face suddenly changed, and he said in surprise, "Is it Lin Yuan?" Zhu Dasheng was stunned, remembered something, and asked, "The casual cultivator I met in Bay Market?" Meng Yushan nodded silently. His expression became a little serious. Lin Yuan and he were at the same realm and their strengths were comparable. If the enemy was difficult for both parties to deal with, then he must be very powerful. "Sir, things may be troublesome. Should we participate?" Meng Yushan lowered his voice. Zhu Dasheng looked at him in surprise. "Isn't he your old friend? Don't you want to help him?" Meng Yushan was also stunned and scratched his head. "That being said, if you want to put yourself in danger, it's really unnecessary." Before he finished speaking, Huang Zhao on the side added concisely, "Sir, that person has a grudge against Brother Meng, and the two of them even robbed a woman." This sentence silenced the four people present. Zhu Dasheng looked at Meng Yushan in surprise with a strange expression. Meng Yushan's expression froze, and his face turned visibly dark. He kicked Huang Zhao in anger. "Don't bullshit me. I have forgotten about this matter a long time ago. Do you really think that I, Meng, will do this for a mere woman? That's not an ordinary woman. Sister Lan is the sexy Sister Lan with a bust of 2.5 feet and wearing black silk cloud pattern gauze stockings." "Wow!" everyone exclaimed. "Bullshit." Meng Yushan showed an angry expression and said word by word, "It's obviously 3 feet, and it's not just black silk cloud pattern gauze stockings, but also pleated rabbit ear skirt, Tanxium tight leather pants, dark flower lustful purple cloud clothes, cloud rain dragon phoenix snow gauze robe. Woo 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 my Lan." Zhu Dasheng's face turned black. "What the hell is this? Has it developed too advanced?" Seeing Meng Yushan being hit in the sore spot and about to shed tears, Zhu Dasheng hurriedly stopped him. "Don't worry, old Meng, you come back today and you will eventually take back everything you have." "Sir, don't comfort me, I have forgotten." "But, that's 2.5 feet. 3 feet. Zhu Dasheng." Through the dense jungle, Zhu Dasheng looked at the battle area, where there were dozens of people fighting, and several people were already lying on the ground with casualties. One of the parties was Meng Yushan's old acquaintance Lin Yuan. A total of 5 people participated in the battle. 1 was at the 8th level of Qi training, 2 were at the 7th level, and 2 were at the 6th level. They were currently at an absolute disadvantage and could only barely resist. There were 8 enemies, all wearing black robes, with fierce faces and ruthless attacks. They were not ordinary cultivators at first glance. And their strength was obviously stronger. The leader was also at the 8th level of Qi training, and there were 4 more at the 7th level of Qi training, and 3 at the 6th level of Qi training, occupying an absolute chance of winning. Meng Yushan analyzed in a low voice, "Sir, the other party should be a group of evil cultivators, and their strength is not weak." "Evil cultivators?" Zhu Dasheng understood that among the large group of casual cultivators, most casual cultivators make a living by hunting monsters. But there are also a small number of evil cultivators who kill people and rob treasures. Most of these evil cultivators are in remote areas and rarely appear around the righteous forces. I didn't expect that it was actually a group of evil cultivators. "Sir, are you going to take action? If we join, The chances of winning are not small, Meng Yushan said in a deep voice. Once Meng Yushan joined the battlefield, the number of Qi training level 8 would form a 1-to-2 situation, and Zhu Daosheng would block other cultivators, and the chances of winning would definitely not be low. Chapter 39, Encircling and Killing the Evil Cultivator. Zhu Daosheng looked at the battle situation with sharp eyes, analyzing the pros and cons of this action. His side was not strong, and any accident might lead to eternal damnation. After thinking for a long time, Zhu Daosheng still chose to take action. Judging from the distribution of strength, once he and Meng Yushan joined the battlefield, the chances of winning were still very high. Moreover, he had the idea of expanding his power before, and this was a very good opportunity. Old Meng, listen to my command. Seeing that Zhu Daosheng was going to take action, Meng Yushan's eyes became cautious, and his voice was lowered a few points. He whispered, "Sir, what should we do?" Zhu Daosheng said in a deep voice, "If we rashly join the battle, even if we can win in the end, we will inevitably suffer heavy losses, so we must find a suitable opportunity to try to use a sneak attack to seriously injure the evil cultivator of the 8th level of Qi training." In the entire battle, the 8th level Qi training strongman played a decisive factor. Once the leader of the opponent was seriously injured or even killed, more than half of the victory would be won. As for other cultivators at the 7th and 6th levels of Qi training, Zhu Daosheng alone could easily deal with them, and there was nothing to fear. Old Meng, you will go around to the back of the battle and hide. I will attract attention from the front, and you will take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Zhu Daosheng arranged. Sir, if he attacks you, can you stand it with your strength? Zhu Daosheng glanced at him. When you fought with me, did I stand it? Meng Yushan was stunned, and then he realized that he was worrying too much. Although his master's attack ability is not strong, his earth attribute Torah is extremely heavy, like a tortoiseshell. Not only is the defense extremely strong, but the magic power is also strong and extremely resistant to beating. Even a strong man of a higher realm will find it difficult to break the defense in a short time. After making such arrangements, Meng Yushan did not hesitate to bypass the battle area alone and find a hidden area to hide. However, the terrain here is complicated and it is impossible to completely bypass the battle area, so he can only find a tricky position near the right area. After looking at each other and confirming that they were right, Zhu Daosheng officially launched his plan. The strong mana in his body surged, and the earthy yellow spiritual energy attached to the surface of his body, forming a set of armor-like protection. However, it was difficult to condense this layer of mana into substance with only the cultivation of the Qi refining stage. The defensive effect was not as strong as expected, and it could only be considered barely enough. Always paying attention to the movements on the battlefield, when the Qi refining level 8 evil cultivator turned his back to Meng Yushan, Zhu Daosheng immediately seized the opportunity, thought for only 1 second, and rushed directly into the battle. In an instant, the sudden movement immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. When Lin Yuan saw the person coming, he couldn't help but feel happy, and hurriedly shouted, "This fellow Taoist, this person is an evil cultivator, please help me." The 8 evil cultivators were also stunned. They were caught off guard. After a little panic, their hands and feet were a little confused for a while. However, the leading man at the 8th level of Qi refining reacted the fastest, shouting angrily, "He is only at the 7th level of Qi refining, kill him." However, just when he shouted, it was also the time when he was most relaxed. At the most critical moment, Meng Yushan, who was hiding in the back, suddenly jumped out, and the magic weapon in his hand fiercely stabbed out, and the violent spiritual energy rushed straight to the back of the evil cultivator like a flood. The crisis of life and death surged into his heart, like a thorn in his back, so that this person immediately reacted. His pupils contracted, and tried to fight back. But Lin Yuan, who was in the battlefield, how could he give up such a good opportunity? Not seeking to cause too much damage, it is still very easy to simply lock this evil cultivator. With the tacit cooperation of both parties, Meng Yushan's sword gained a lot, piercing directly through the back, and the splashing blood fell on the air, rising up curls of hot air. At the most critical moment, the evil cultivator burst out all his strength and tilted his body slightly to the right, which allowed him hard to avoid the sword. In the end, only one arm was disabled. Zhu Dasheng was secretly disappointed. With such a good opportunity, he didn't kill him with one blow, leaving the other party a ray of life. Don T, let them leave, kill them. Zhu Dasheng's voice was cold, and he slapped a 6th level Qi refining cultivator with one palm. The heavy energy directly collapsed his chest. Meng Yushan also reacted immediately. If this group of evil cultivators were allowed to leave, there would be constant troubles and no peace in the future. Thinking of the dangers that might be encountered in the future, he dared not be careless. The offensive was different from the tidal wave, and he chopped at the evil cultivator man continuously. At the same time, Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin also joined the battlefield, cooperating with Lin Yuan's men to start a chaotic battle, filling the disadvantages of the 7th and 6th levels of Qi refining, and further tilting the balance of the battle. Seeing such a scene, the evil cultivator of the 8th level of Qi training had a sinister look in his eyes and had the idea of retreating. He was already seriously injured. If he continued to fight, the end would be imaginable. However, the battle had reached this point, so how could he stop and leave whenever he wanted? Zhu Dasheng's mind was as clear as a mirror. After using thundering means to deal with 2 Qi training levels 7 and 1 Qi training level 6, Zhu Dasheng left the remaining few to others, and took the initiative to join the battlefield of the 8th level of Qi training. His goal was very clear, not to cause any attack, but to contain and trap the enemy, further reducing the chance of this person escaping. The evil cultivator's breath became more and more weak, because of the continuous fighting and consumption. The ammunition for replenishing mana had been used up, and the injury on his arm was also getting worse. Now he was at the end of his strength. The other evil cultivators at the 6th and 7th levels of Qi refining were also in a panic. Seeing that their boss was unable to change the situation, they all looked for ways to escape. However, due to an oversight, Zhu Dasheng secretly said not good. 2 evil cultivators at the 7th level of Qi refining risked serious injuries by shouldering a sword and then forcibly leaving the battlefield. Seeing this scene, the evil cultivator at the 8th level of Qi refining seemed to see hope and shouted loudly, "Ha ha ha, 2nd and 4th, come and give me a helping hand. As long as you can escape, this place today will be recovered sooner or later." While shouting, he also moved closer to the 2 men, trying to get rid of the siege of Zhu Dasheng and the others. It was too late, but it was too soon. In the midst of lightning and flint, one of the 7th level Qi refining monks had a sinister look in his eyes. When his boss was about to approach, he slapped his palm fiercely. "You bastard, what are you doing?" In everyone's surprised eyes, the evil cultivator at the 8th level of Qi refining was struck out with a palm. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and he fell to the ground. Meng Yushan and others were startled, and during this gap, the 2 evil cultivators at the 7th level of Qi refining fled quickly, and their figures rushed into the jungle, disappearing completely in one breath. Zhu Dasheng reacted later and found that the evil cultivator on the ground was not unconscious, so he kicked him without hesitation, just a few kicks in the head. But he saw that he only vomited blood and was not unconscious. Meng Yushan was startled and said, "That adult. You will kick him to death if you do this. What should we do?" "You have to kick the acupuncture points." Chapter 40 Baby soaking in wine. The experienced Meng Yushan kicked him in the back of the head. The evil leader rolled his eyes and fainted. Zhu Dasheng looked at this scene and touched his chin thoughtfully. Then he inadvertently looked at Lin Yuan aside and suddenly asked, "Which acupoint is it specifically? I have to learn it carefully. If someone escapes accidentally, it will be a big sin." Meng Yushan was not stingy and explained, "Sir, these are actually the blood vessels on both sides of the neck. You can see it is at this location. Because it bleeds a lot, hitting it hard will make people faint, but this is only suitable for useful during Qi training period." "I see, is this here?" Bang! Before Lin Yuan could react, he was slapped directly on the neck. Although the position was a little off, he was still forcibly knocked unconscious. "What are you?" The 2 boys next to him were startled and glared angrily. Before they could say anything, They heard two muffled sounds in succession. The two of them received two sap blows, rolled their eyes and fainted. Phew, everything goes well. Zhu Dasheng clapped his hands relaxedly and ordered Huang Zhao and Zhang Yan to tie up the 4 people. The harvest this time was good, and a total of 4 people were captured, namely Lin Yuan, his 2 7th level Qi training monks, and the evil cultivator at the 8th level Qi training. 2 at the 8th level of Qi refining and 2 at the 7th level of Qi refining. If they can conquer them all, their strength will definitely increase significantly. However, 2 evil cultivators from the 7th level of Qi refining also escaped. As for the others, they all died in the battle, which was considered a considerable loss. During the binding process, a body search was conducted to remove all useful things from their bodies. Lin Yuan and the leader of the evil cultivator each found a storage bag, adding the 2 in Zhu Dasheng's hands. They now have 4 storage bags and are very wealthy. In Lin Yuan's storage bag, there are more than 300 low-grade spirit stones, a set of first-order high-grade skills 100 waves Ju, dozens of bottles of used elixirs, a large number of monster materials and spiritual plants, with a value of about 200 spirit stones. In addition, Lin Yuan also had 2 magical weapons, the first-order high-grade blast gun and the first-order mid-grade green edge armor. Zhu Dasheng accepted them without hesitation. The evil cultivator leader's assets are more abundant, with more than 600 low-grade spiritual stones and a wide variety of materials, which should have been snatched from different cultivators. A simple calculation shows that they are worth more than 500 spiritual stones. Some of them can be used as formation materials or for practice. Zhu Dasheng collected them all, and the rest can be sold. In addition, many magical weapons, exercises, and spells were also found. There were a lot of them, but the quality varied, and not many of them were usable. Among them, Zhu Dasheng found a green rainbow shield and a bone-cutting knife, both of which were of first-class quality. They should be the magic tools used by evil cultivators themselves, and the quality was very good. In terms of exercises, the highest quality was only the first level, and they were not upright exercises. Most of them were crooked methods. Zhu Dasheng only glanced at them briefly and threw them aside. The spells are also unremarkable. Most of them are common spells in the world of immortality, such as fireball, water flow, speed, etc. Zhu Dasheng has learned them in his family. As for the 2 7th level Qi refining monks, they had no storage bags and only carried 1 or 2 magic weapons with them. The quality was relatively poor and they only had dozens of spiritual stones. Zhu Dasheng accepted them all. The harvest is pretty good. Zhu Dasheng clicked the storage bag in his hand with satisfaction, glanced at the darkening sky, and called, "Lao Meng, find a cave nearby. We will be repairing it tonight." "Okay." Meng Yushan was already familiar with it and started to handle it skillfully. Zhu Dasheng's experience in surviving in the wild has improved a lot. He knew that it was almost night and it would be more dangerous to travel in the dark. Moreover, he was carrying 4 tow bottles, so it would definitely be unsafe on the road, so he decided to rest first. It just so happened that I could directly conquer the 4 of them using mystical magic, thus saving them a long night and many dreams. The thick night was extremely silent, and occasionally the suppressed roars of wild beasts could be heard. In front of a hidden cave, a bonfire burned cracklingly. Surrender, or die? Choose one. Zhu Dasheng was roasting meat by himself. The voice asked calmly. I surrender. The pale-faced leader of the evil cultivators had already had his black robe stripped off. He stared with a pair of dead fish eyes. After considering for a moment, he did not resist too much. Surrender. Surrender. The 2 monks at the 7th level of Qi refining also buried their heads and gave their own answers. However, at the end, there was an alternative voice mixed in I don't accept it. The 2 monks at the 7th level of Qi refining turned their heads and looked at Lin Yuan with sad faces, saying, "Boss, please stop being so stubborn. It's better to live than die." HMPH. Even if I, Lin Yuan, were to be chopped into pieces and fed to dogs, I would not surrender to the same person with such a treacherous person. Lin Yuan's eyes were filled with anger. and he looked at Meng Yushan with cold eyes, obviously extremely angry at his brother's backstabbing. Zhu Dasheng raised his eyebrows, and then nuzzled his lips towards Meng Yushan, signaling him to think of a solution. After all, he is a monk at the 8th level of Qi refining. He is a powerful player in the family. He is a rare human resource who can garrison a place. Meng Yushan was also very reliable and gave a reassured look. Then he stepped forward and walked in front of Lin Yuan. He heard a crack sound and the bright silver the sword was unsheathed, which shocked everyone present. The air was still for 2 seconds, and Lin Yuan said coldly, "Just chop me, if I snort, I'm not a man." Meng Yushan glanced at him indifferently, and said in a voice without any emotion, "After all, we were brothers. Even if you don't want to surrender, I will persuade you not to kill you." Just when Zhu Dasheng thought that this would be a touching confession of brotherhood, Meng Yushan moved his wrist and pointed the blade between Lin Yuan's legs, just a few inches away from the sensitive part. This action scared Lin Yuan. Meng Yushan changed the subject and a hideous smile appeared on his face. "But I heard that you like women and have harmed many girls. Today I will castrate you with great mercy, dry your treasures, and sell them to the grocery store as spiritual objects of heaven and earth." Fuck. Everyone present couldn't help but feel cold in their legs, feeling a chill. "Besides, I heard that Xiaolan likes fine wine. I will buy this pair of treasures back and make fine wine to share with Alan. You can come and join us, and we will have a good time. However, you should only be sisters with Alan this time." Everyone took a breath and looked at Meng Yushan with a trace of fear. Even Zhu Dasheng couldn't help but look at him with admiration. Lin Yuan's face flushed red. He opened his mouth repeatedly to say something, but when he saw the long knife between his legs, he didn't utter a word. After holding it in for dozens of seconds, he finally lost his temper and said weakly, "Old Meng, this lord in front of me is handsome and powerful. It is my blessing in my previous life to submit to him." Chapter 41 Blue Vein Drak. Seeing that all 4 people agreed, Zhu Dasheng was unambiguous and began to use the spiritual magic to condense spiritual restraints under the care of Meng Yushan and others. The 4 Lin Yuan people knew their own situation, so they did not resist and accepted the control of the spiritual magic. When Zhu Dasheng's spiritual power completely entered their sea of consciousness, their life and death were completely controlled. After spending a quarter of an hour, Zhu Dasheng once again had 2 8th-level Qi refining and 2 7th-level Qi refining experts under his command. Their strength increased so fast that he himself found it incredible. However, after using the spiritual magic this time, there was an obvious feeling of dizziness in my mind. Zhu Dasheng understands that with his current cultivation level, it is impossible to use this spiritual secret method endlessly, because for Qi refining monks, spiritual power cannot be restored. Once it is divided too much, it will have an impact on future practice. After regaining his energy slightly, Zhu Dasheng looked at Lin Yuan and the evil cultivator leader and said, "We are all our own people now. Please introduce yourselves, so that we can get familiar with them." Lin Yuan held the meat skewers in his hand and grilled them on the campfire. He said casually, "My name is Lin Yuan. I am a casual cultivator in this area." His strength is at the 8th level of Qi refining. He has no immortal cultivation skills. That's probably it. The other 2 at the 7th level of Qi refining were in similar situations, and Zhu Dasheng just had a brief understanding. However, the identity of the evil cultivator is indeed a bit surprising. "My name is Qin Lai. I used to be a casual cultivator, but I have been in the immortal world to the south. I offended the Foundation building force Blackwater sect there, so I was hunted down all the way and fled here. And because I carried a wanted warrant on my body, I engaged in the business of killing people and selling goods." Qin Lai was honest and told the truth about his identity, which also aroused everyone's curiosity. "Oh, you still have a wanted warrant on you. What's the price?" Zhu Dasheng asked curiously. 500 low-grade spiritual stones. Zhu Dasheng thought for a moment and analyzed. The price is indeed a bit cheap. It's not worth handing it over. It's better to keep it and work on it. "Can you please stop saying these words in front of me?" Qin Lai couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Zhu Dasheng patted him on the shoulder nonchalantly. "No matter what you did before, Since you followed me, let everything start again. Aren't you afraid that the Blackwater sect will implicate you because of my wanted order? Zhu Dasheng glanced at him and asked, wear a black robe and a mask when going out from now on. You are only allowed to appear in this area. Who can recognize you? That apostrophe s. Okay. After a brief conversation, Zhu Dasheng felt relieved after knowing that Qin Lai was not a bad-tempered person. Afterwards, everyone had a brief chat and got to know each other a lot. They stayed in the cave for one night before continuing on their way the next day. The rest of the journey went very smoothly, and no unexpected situations were encountered. The monsters we occasionally encountered were not too strong, and they were all easily dealt with. It took about 10 days to rush back to Balin Lake. Zhu Dasheng did not go back to the island directly. Instead, he took Meng Yushan, Lin Yuan and others back to the valley behind Balin Lake, intending to settle the newcomers first and arrange their future development. Entering the valley, Qin Lai and Lin Yuan felt the rich spiritual energy for the first time. They couldn't help but feel refreshed and their eyes lit up. Is there a spiritual vein here? Lin Yuan looked around in surprise and found that the environment here was surprisingly good. Not only is it surrounded by high mountains, the location is extremely hidden and difficult to be discovered by outsiders, but the internal terrain is wide and lined with many spiritual fields. What shocked him even more was that there was actually a first-order high-grade spiritual vein hidden here, making the spiritual energy in the valley extremely rich. Meng Yushan grinned and said, if this is a wasteland, then why do we come all the way back to grow potatoes? Lin Yuan choked and was speechless, but it was true. If he didn't have a station, he would be at home all over the world. On the other side, he has been silent. Qin Lai's eyes became brighter after seeing the environment in this valley. His life of hiding in Tibet all year round made him extremely insecure. A hidden shelter like this deep in the wilderness mountains is definitely a dream. The place of training. The first thing Zhu Dasheng did after returning to the valley was to go to the Linquent pool to check the water quality in it. The spring water here flows from Balin Lake, mixed with the spiritual liquid in the eyes of the spiritual spring, and its quality can reach the first level. The spiritual water from this pool was used to water the Shangpin Lingshan before, and the quality was very good. After Zhu Dasheng looked at it, he found that there was no problem with the quality of the spring water, but the pool itself was too crudely constructed and the area was not large enough. If it is just to store water, it is barely enough, but if you want to cultivate green-bearded shrimps, it is obviously insufficient. Sir, I built the pool at random before. The materials used were not good enough and the production process was quite haphazard. How about renovating it? Meng Yushan asked. Zhu Dasheng nodded and gave instructions. Let Huangzhou and Zhang Yin do it and build a larger pond. The area will be about half an acre. The materials can be ordinary blue rocks from outside the valley. Ordinary, bluestone. Is the quality too low? How about I go to Beifang City again and buy a batch of first-grade medium-grade ore? Meng Yushan frowned and asked for his opinion. Zhu Dasheng waved his hand and explained, although Kinyan is an ordinary rock, if it is soaked in a liquid with rich spiritual energy for a long time, its quality will slowly improve. After a long time, it will turn into a first-grade lower-quality Kinyan rock, and the effect is no worse than other minerals. I see. Meng Yushan suddenly realized it after hearing it. The information that Kinyan turns into Kinyan rock is unknown to ordinary casual cultivators. It is an important information that the Zhu family has explored for many years. In the Tanchai of the Zhu family, there are many Kinyan rocks, most of which have been transformed into Kinyan rocks, with qualities ranging from first-grade lower quality to first-grade upper quality. It is said that several pieces have reached the second grade, but Zhu Dasheng has not seen it with his own eyes, and he does not know whether it is true or not. But there is no doubt that if Kinyan is used to build a pool, the effect will definitely be very good, and even a batch of high-quality Kinyan rocks can be obtained in the future. Next, Huangzhou and Zhang Yin were arranged to go outside the valley with 2 storage bags to collect Kinyan. Considering that excessive mining would easily destroy the original appearance of this mountain range and attract the attention of outsiders, Meng Yushan asked the 2 to collect it at a distance farther. Although the distance is a bit farther, it will be obviously safer. As for the remaining people, Zhu Dasheng also made other arrangements and started to plant yellow thorn vines. For a long time to come, yellow thorn vines will be the most important spiritual plant and the core material for arranging formations. Its value is self-evident. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, The Dilemma of Baki Pavilion. Zhu Dasheng was particularly concerned about planting yellow thorn vines, so he pulled 3 Qi refining level 8 strong men over and gave them detailed instructions. He taught the 3 people almost everything about planting, including the characteristics of yellow thorn vines, the environment required for growth, the interval between watering and fertilizing, the judgment of health, the configuration of special growth liquid, the judgment of maturity, and even asked them to record everything to ensure that nothing was missed. These are all the key points of planting yellow thorn vines. You must pay attention to them at ordinary times. Of course, I will come to check from time to time. Zhu Dasheng maintained a serious attitude and looked at Meng Yushan and said, "Old Meng, this matter is mainly left to you. Arrange people to guard it and don't let any accidents happen." Meng Yushan also nodded solemnly, "No problem, just leave it to me. If there is any mistake, you can soak my head in wine." After explaining these things, a day passed and the sky darkened again. Lin Yuan, Qin Lai and others also dug a cave near the cave of Meng Yushan and others, and settled here completely. Zhu Dasheng returned to the island. After leaving for a while, the island looked a lot more desolate. After Zhu Dasheng cleaned it up casually, he carefully took care of the spiritual field and checked the growth of the spiritual plants. The crystal jade spiritual rice grew very well. There was sufficient water nearby and the sunshine time was long, which was very suitable for the growth of this kind of spiritual rice. However, Zhu Dasheng found that although the spiritual rice grew very lush, it was thin as a whole, obviously because of the lack of spiritual energy. The moon grass next to it was in a similar situation. The natural environment in terms of sunshine and rain was very favorable, but the main reason was that the spiritual energy was relatively low. There was nothing he could do about it, so Zhu Dasheng could only return to the underground cave and dilute a few buckets of spiritual spring water. With the watering of the spring water full of spiritual energy, the spiritual plants became visibly energetic and their breath was also strengthened a lot. It seems that in a few months, the moongrass and crystal jade spiritual rice will be mature. Looking at the tender green spiritual plants swaying gently in the night breeze, Zhu Dasheng was in a very good mood. This made him sigh. If there were no cruel world in the world of immortal cultivation, no intrigues among cultivators, and if he simply sought such a peaceful way of cultivation, perhaps it would be a very good life. But immediately afterwards, he couldn't help but smile with relief. Perhaps the original purpose of many cultivators are just to seek a quietness, but it is often contrary to their wishes. It is me who is sentimental. Return to the underground cave. The luminous stone emits a bright light, illuminating the not-so-spacious cave, and the spiritual spring eye reflects some flickering light spots. The black patterned lotus growing in the spiritual spring eye has grown a bud, out of the initial dangerous period, and officially began to grow, full of vitality under the rich spiritual energy. As a first-level medium-grade spiritual plant, the growth cycle of the black patterned lotus is very long. With sufficient spiritual energy supply, it takes about 20 years to fully mature. Of course, if the appropriate growth liquid can be configured, or formations, elixirs, and talismans are used to assist growth, the time may be reduced. However, conservative estimates suggest that it will take at least 10 years. This made Zhu Dasheng sigh. It was still very difficult to harvest the black patterned lotus in a short time and earn spiritual stones from it. He also considered that if a wisp of innate purple qi was given to the black patterned lotus, would it be possible to speed up its growth, or even break through the original limit like the green bamboo and become a spiritual plant of higher quality? It is possible. However, Zhu Qingyai no longer has a second wisp of innate purple qi. The previous wisp of innate purple chi was because it was the first time he combined with Yunzai, so it directly condensed into a complete innate purple chi. Although they had sex afterwards, they only accumulated a very small amount. Zhu Daosheng conservatively estimated that at this rate of accumulation, he would have to find Yunzai at least 30 times. Moreover, the Sun and Moon Sutra is not able to operate endlessly. Each process of accumulating innate purple chi requires more than 1 month, which is a long accumulation process. If you want to quickly accumulate a whole wisp of innate purple chi like the first time, you can only find another woman with higher talent. Zhu Daosheng shook his head. This is something that can only be encountered and cannot be forced. Forget it. The road to cultivating immortals is long and difficult. It is not necessary to practice with the Sun and Moon Sutra. According to my current cultivation speed, it should not take many years to break through to the 9th level of chi refining, and even accumulate enough wealth to buy foundation-building pills. Zhu Daosheng always believed that the path of cultivation should be steady and steady, one step at a time. If you are greedy and reckless, although you can improve quickly in a short period of time, it will not be beneficial in the long run. He had some enlightenment in his heart. In just a few breaths of thinking, he seemed to be suddenly more open-minded. Even his cultivation, which had not improved for a long time, reached the middle stage of the 7th level of chi refining. Zhu Daosheng's spiritual energy was more abundant, and his information was a little heavier. He exhaled a long breath of turbid air, and his cultivation was more advanced. 4 Square Market, Zhu Family 100 Instruments Pavilion. Bang! The porcelain teacup fell to the ground with a crisp sound. The Ma family is really going too far. Humphrey, they actually restricted my Zhu family's transportation channel in Chang's River. Are they going to fight us to the death? Several elders said angrily, and the atmosphere in the hall was extremely depressing. The former owner of Beiki Pavilion, Zhu Shajin, said in a low voice, "Since 2 months ago, the Ma family has blocked us. The team transporting magic tools has been attacked 3 times, and the loss is at least more than 2,000 spirit stones. 2,000 spirit stones are almost equivalent to a year's income." When everyone present heard this number, they breathed more heavily and almost tore off their vests completely. Zhu Shao-Uyan, who is in charge of transportation, has the 8th level of chi training. At this time, his arm is wrapped in gauze, and his tone is slightly angry. Now when transporting goods, if there is no 9th level of chi training elders to send each other, almost all of them will be attacked by the Ma family. It's okay to lose magic tools, and at most lose some spirit stones, but these bastards also hurt people, and many family members have been injured. The Ma family is too bullying, and this matter must be reported to the head of the family. It must not be let go. This matter has been reported a long time ago. What can the head of the family do? Now the Ma family is determined to go against us. Even if the head of the family comes in person, it will only be a temporary urgent needs. Alas, it was the girl from the Zhao family who caused the trouble. I really don't know what the family is thinking. They have to do it for a chi refining family. Bang! Enough! A childish and slightly majestic voice sounded. Judeki put down the cup in his hand, and his slightly fat round face was extremely calm. 4th uncle, 8th uncle, 13th uncle, you talk too much. Several elders looked unhappy and asked, Dicky, what do you mean? Judeki was not stage frightened, and his voice was surprisingly calm. The decision made by the head of the family does not need us to judge. If you have any opinions, you can directly raise them with the head of the family. Chapter 43 Opening Another Road. This is indeed what he said, but, without waiting for the words to be finished, Judeki continued to interrupt. Secondly, Miss Xiaoyunzai is the wife of the 6th brother, my sister-in-law, and your nephew-in-law. Since she joins my Zhu family, she is a member of my Zhu family. This kind of the behavior of judging behind your back really shouldn't happen to your elders. Several elders looked stunned, not expecting Judeki to say this. Since coming to Beiki Pavilion, Judeki has spent most of his time practicing and occasionally taking charge of the shop, but most of the time he still relies on the ideas of a few elders. I didn't expect that this time, he would be so sharp. What you said is indeed true, but you don't know how expensive firewood, rice, oil and salt are when you are not a family member. The family's losses this time are far beyond your imagination. Let alone earn 1,300 spiritual stones a year. It will be difficult for you to get back your money this year. Judaki did not show any concern and said, since it has happened, there is no need to blame others. The most important thing is to solve the problem. Jusha frowned and asked, Dodge, seeing that you are so confident, do you have a solution to the problem? Judaki raised his eyes calmly, with a look that was too mature for his age. His slightly bloated body looked bigger than several elders. Elders, since the head of the family has asked me to be in charge of Baki Pavilion, I will go all out. Next, if you act according to my plan, I can guarantee that Baki Pavilion will turn the crisis around and even gain far more income than before. Dodge, you are still too young. Seeing that several elders still wanted to say something, Judaki continued to increase his chips. When I left the family, I already asked the head of the family. I have full authority to decide all matters in Baki Pavilion. If you have any opinions, you can ask the head of the family in person. And elder looked at each other, and finally showed a helpless smile. It doesn't matter, since the head of the family has agreed, then it's up to you. After hearing this, Judaki also put away his serious expression, smiled on his face, and bowed deeply to the elders. There is no real conflict. The elders also think about the family. They are the older generation who have been working for the family all year round and dedicated their lives to the family. Out of his own heart, Judaki still respects them very much. Sometimes, the older generation is still too stuck in the rules and it is difficult to bring about changes. Judaki sat on the main seat, his round eyes revealing a profound edge, and said, Uncle Shajin, you have been in Safang City for many years and have been in charge of Baki Pavilion. I think you have accumulated a lot of contacts. It's barely okay. What do you think? Judaki said calmly, Uncle Shajin, please continue to find connections and try to open up the transportation channel of the Ching's River. Oh, I keep trying, but it's no use. No, every time we transport magic weapons, the Ma family can accurately grasp the time and carry out sneak attacks on us. There must be a reason for this. Could it be ... there's a traitor in the family? Judaki's mouth twitched. He glanced helplessly at his fourth uncle, shook his head and said, No, I mean, the Ma family should not be that well informed about the news. It is probably other small forces nearby who are monitoring us. Most of them use. If you want money to do things, you can try to get in touch. I see, why didn't I think of it before? Shajin suddenly understood and nodded thoughtfully. Judaki rubbed his fat face. He really didn't know how his fourth uncle stayed in the position of the master of Baki Pavilion. Could it be through the back door? Fourth uncle, I still want to advise you to do your best to do the best and don't be stingy with gifts. There is no harm in having good dealings with these small forces. I understand. Your fourth uncle has not been fooling around all these years. You can eat, drink, and get a massage in a three-piece suit, so you can rest assured. After saying that, Jushajin ran out carelessly. I'm really not too worried. Judaki sighed. He had to feel relieved even if he was not worried. Then he looked at Jusha on the side. Eighth uncle, there will probably be no results from fourth uncle's place. Also, I have to trouble you to accompany me on another trip. Jusha who was wrapped in bandages, smiled and said, Don't say just one trip. It's okay to make 10 trips, but don't think your fourth uncle is careless. He is still proficient in human relations, so don't worry. No. Judaki stood up and stood with his hands behind his back. The point is not the fourth uncle, but the Ma family. You mean? Since the Ma family chose to use this method to block our transportation channel in the Ching's River, it shows that they have been prepared for a long time and will not let us reopen it easily. We have to find another way. Jusha thought thoughtfully, but this waterway is currently the closest and fastest transportation channel. Judaki's small eyes burst out with a bright light. Since the waterway is impassable, let's open a new one. Create A new path? Yes. Judeki turned around and said, "Leave this matter to me. I have an appointment with someone this afternoon. Uncle 8, please accompany me there. Maybe there will be a turn for the better." Zhu Shaoyun was in a daze for a moment when he saw the chubby but high-spirited young man in front of him. Once upon a time, those children who were running around and shouting 8 uncles and 8 uncles all day long have grown up and begun to shoulder the responsibilities of the Taoist generation. Moreover, the confidence and courage shown by Judeki at this time reminded him of the prodigies who had appeared in the family before, those clansmen who had become the head of the family and became foundation-building masters might have been so outstanding when they were young. "Yes, you are worthy of being the foundation-building seedling of my Zhu family," Zhu Shaoyun muttered to himself, and a smile appeared on his face. At this moment, he had a vague premonition that this generation of the Zhu family would be very extraordinary and might lead the family to a new height. Dan Iu Mount Zhu family. Zhu Daobai bowed and said, "Junior Zhu Daobai of the Zhu family, meet the head of the Zhu family." "Zhu family? What do you want?" Zhu Qingqing looked at the book in his hand without looking up. The Zhu family is also a foundation-building family, slightly stronger than the Zhu family. It has 2 foundation-building masters and a complete second-level alchemy inheritance. It is a famous alchemy family in the area. Therefore, the head of the Zhu family did not need to pay too much attention to Zhu Daobai, a junior. He was even willing to meet him once, which was a great honor. Zhu Daobai did not care, but said directly, "I have heard that the Zhu family's alchemy skills are unparalleled, and no one within 100 miles can match them. I accidentally got a pill formula and want to sell it to the head of the Zhu family." "Oh, a pill formula?" Zhu Qingqing became interested and asked, "What quality of pill?" "If it is a common pill formula, my Zhu family should not be short of it." Chapter 44 Small Foundation Building Pill. Zhu Daobai smiled and handed an elixir prescription to Zhu Qingqing's hand. "First grade high-grade elixir prescription. Master Zhu, please take a look." Hearing the words first order high-grade, Zhu Qingqing's expression remained indifferent. As an alchemy family, the Zhu family had many first-order high-grade elixirs. If he had a second-order elixir in front of him, he might be more concerned about it. However, when he glanced at Dan Feng's name, his eyes suddenly lit up and he couldn't help but let out a sigh. Putting away the books in his hands, Zhu Qingqing leaned forward, picked up the elixir on the table and looked at it carefully for a few seconds. Then his expression became serious. "This is Ziajizu elixir." Zhu Daobai smiled and said, "Yes, this is half a prescription. If the Zhu family is interested, we can discuss the next deal. If not, the junior will leave immediately." With that said, Zhu Daobai stood up and made a move to take away the pill recipe. Zhu Qingqing only thought for 2 seconds before holding Zhu Daobai's hand. "Little friend Zhu, let's sit down and talk. This prescription is really good. What are you going to do?" Hearing this, Zhu Daobai nodded and said, "Master Zhu should know the value of this pill recipe. It is a substitute for the Foundation Establishment pill. Although the effect is not as good as the Foundation Establishment pill, the value is also self-evident. I want 5,000 spirit stones." After Zhu Qingqing thought for a long time, he said, "My friend, the price you offered is too high. I have some understanding of pills like the Little Foundation Establishment pill. The real name of this elixir is Condensing Spirit Pill. It has the function of gathering spiritual energy and can give the 9th level Qi refining peak monk a 10% chance of breakthrough. However, this elixir is not widely spread, and even many people they say it has been lost, but I didn't expect to see it here today. To be honest, if the price is 3,000 low-grade spiritual stones, I would just accept it. Unfortunately, if it is 5,000 low-grade spiritual stones, it is really not worth it." Zhu Qingqing said it very seriously, and Zhu Daobai nodded in approval. Since he took the initiative to sell the pill recipe, He had naturally done his homework and knew the situation of the little foundation establishment pill. What Zhuchinkin said was all accurate and completely consistent with the information he collected. The foundation establishment pill allows monks who are at the 90th percentile of qi refining to have a 40% to 50% chance of breaking through to the foundation establishment stage. Even monks with high enough talent have a higher chance of breakthrough. The condensing spirit pill can only increase the breakthrough probability to 10%, so it is called the small foundation establishment pill. Compared with the one, the success rate of 25% and the success rate of 10% are already worth the risk for many people. Moreover, the price of condensing spirit pill is relatively cheap, about 3,000 low-grade spirit stones, which is much more expensive than ordinary first-grade high-grade pills. However, the prescription of this kind of pill is not common, so it is rarely seen on the market. This kind of elixir, Zhuchinkin added, and the value of this elixir is not as high as you think. For many families, it is also very important to be a monk at the peak of 90% qi refining. Many people would rather buy the more precious foundation building elixir than to I am willing to let my clan members die on the spirit condensation pill which only has a 10% success rate. Zhu Debai shook his head and did not agree with this statement. Although what the Zhu family master said has some truth, the road to cultivating immortality is inherently difficult. Even if there is only a 10% success rate, it is still worthy of many small families and casual cultivators trying. After the words fell, Zhu Debai was silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled and said, Master Zhu, I think the real reason that prevents you from making up your mind to buy is not these unfounded reasons. Right? Oh, Zhuchinkin showed a playful smile. Little friend of the Zhu family, then why do you think I don't want to spend a lot of money to buy it? I guess it should be some kind of material for the Ningling pill? Zhu Debai asked tentatively with a smile on his face. As soon as he said this, there was a hint of approval in Zhuchinkin's eyes. Yes, the Ningling pill is indeed very good and one of the highest quality first-class pills. However, there is an unavoidable hurdle in the refining process. That is, it requires an extremely precious spiritual plant, which is difficult for even the foundation building family to find, and even if it is found, it is difficult to plant it on a large scale. Speaking of this, Zhuchinkin couldn't help but show a look of regret. If this difficulty could be overcome, then the Ningling pill would be enough to help the Zhu family open up a huge industrial chain with its name of Little Foundation Establishment Pill. Just when he was regretful, he heard Zhu Debai suddenly say, the kind of spiritual plant that the Zhu family master mentioned should be Nini root, right? If I can supply this kind of spiritual plant, can the Zhu family master be willing to complete this deal? Trade. Bass. When Zhuchinkin heard this, he stood up from his position and looked at the young man in front of him in disbelief. His strong emotions fluctuated and the powerful aura around him couldn't help but leak out. Little friend, what do you mean by this? Do you have a way to grow Nina roots? Zhu Debai was not frightened by the momentum and still sat calmly. Not bad. Zhuchinkin's pupils shrank and his expression kept changing. My little friend, this is no joke. Are you really able to supply Nina root? Seeing the other party's serious expression, Zhu Debai also suppressed his smile, took out a white jade rhizome that was covered with soil and was not yet fully mature, and placed it in front of Zhuchinkin. This is Ning jade root? Is this Ning jade root that was just pulled out of the soil? You bastard, you actually waste this precious spiritual plant like this. After a brief inspection, Zhuchinkin showed anger and looked at Zhu Debai with a look of hatred for iron. Zhu Debai really didn't care, to be honest with Master Zhu. The real value in my hand is not the prescription of the condensing pill in front of me. I even bought this prescription at a huge price a few days ago. Zhuchinkin got it right and said thoughtfully, so, your real trump card should be the method of planting Nina roots? No. Zhu Debai shook his head, spread his hands and said, on the one hand, I want to sell the elixir to Senior Zhu first. After all, this elixir cost me a lot of spiritual stones. He didn't lie about this. Just to purchase this elixir prescription, he spent 4,500 spirit stones, most of which were borrowed in the name of his father and grandfather. Sold to the Zhu family for 5,000 spirit stones. The price was already very fair, and there was not much money to be made at all. What really makes money is actually the follow-up Ninayujin. On the other hand, I will not sell the planting method, but will sell the mature Ninu roots to the Zhu family. We can form a long-term cooperation. After saying this, Zhu Qingkan fell into deep thought. After a long time, he made up his mind and said, I want to plant Ninu roots. You can give me a price, as long as it is not too much. I can satisfy you. Not buying 30,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Zhu Daosheng's expression remained unchanged. I won't sell it. Chapter 45. My sixth brother is righteous. Zhu Qingkan gritted his teeth and looked at Zhu Daobai. Are you sure you can supply Ninu root for a long time? If it weren't for the long-term benefits of Ninayujin, why would I, Zhu Daobai, go to all the trouble to come and discuss cooperation with the Zhu family? Besides, I am a member of the Zhu family in Tanshai Mountain, and I have a clean identity, so I cannot possibly do anything that would disgrace my family. Hearing what Zhu Daobai said, Zhu Qingkan no longer had any doubts and said firmly, I will pay 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones and sell me the method of planting Ninu roots. Zhu Daobai still only replied with 2 words, not for sale. This is already the highest price. I'd better accept it as soon as it's good. Zhu Daobai shook his head. Master Zhu, I have already said that we do not sell the planting methods, only the mature Ninu roots. If it is really impossible to achieve this, then I can only discuss cooperation with other people. Zhu Qingkan couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him would be so determined and refuse to give in at all. He couldn't even be moved by 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones. At the same time, he was also considering in his mind, weighing the pros and cons of this matter. As the head of a well-known alchemy family, he knew the value of the Ningling pill very well. If this deal was left alone, the man from the Zhu family could sell the pill prescription and the Ninu root. For other alchemy families, the consequences would be something Zhu Qingkan was absolutely unwilling to face. After a long silence, Zhu Qingkan sighed and asked, I can cooperate according to your request. The elixir will cost 5,000 spirit stones and the jade root will be purchased from you, but I need to give you a discount. If, according to the market price, a first-grade high-grade jade root would cost about 1,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Coupled with other elixirs and the loss rate during the refining process, the cost would be at least 2,500 spiritual stones. The price of condensing spirit pill is only 3,000 low-grade spirit stones. If the cost is not controlled, it will be difficult for the Zhu family to earn spiritual stones even if they have the conditions to refine the spirit condensing pill. Zhu Daobai had obviously thought about it, and said with a smile, Master Zhu, the market price of Ningling root is 1,000 spirit stones, but I can sell it to you for 500 spirit stones. Zhu Qingkan did not show any joy. After a brief conversation, he already knew that the young man in front of him was not simple and could not give up such a huge benefit for no reason. Tell me about your conditions. What do our Zhu family have to pay? Zhu Daosheng said, I can supply 10 condensing jade roots every year, and all of them will be sold to seniors at the price of 500 low-grade spiritual stones. However, I will take away 2 of the final 10 condensing spirit pills. As soon as he said this, Zhu Qingkan frowned and thought quickly in his mind, what if he bought it for 1,000 spiritual stones? Condensing jade root, each condensing spirit pill can earn 500 low-grade spiritual stones, 10 pieces is 5,000 low-grade spiritual stones. But if they trade according to Zhu Daobai's method, the Zhu family can earn 1,000 spiritual stones for each one, and 8,000 low-grade spiritual stones for 8. Although the Zhu family's overall strength is stronger than that of the Zhu family, they can produce 8,000 more low-grade spiritual stones a year, which is also a very objective amount of income. For Zhu Daobai, cultivating a jade root requires 700 low-grade spiritual stones, most of which are consumed by special growth spiritual liquid. So for him, if he sells it at a price of 500, he will lose 200 spirit stones for each condensing jade root, which is equivalent to spending 2,000 spirit stones to buy 2 condensing spirit pills. This transaction method was profitable for both parties. Zhu Qingkan gained greater profits, while Zhu Daobai obtained the precious spirit condensation pill. After sorting out the interests involved, Zhu Chinkin nodded slightly and said, I agree to your proposal. I hope we can have a happy cooperation in the future. Logically speaking, the conversation should have ended here, but Zhu Daobai suddenly scratched his head and said, Can I ask you, senior, to borrow some spiritual stones first? What? Zhu Chinkin's face twisted. We haven't done business yet, but you ask me to borrow money first, and I will give you 5,000 spiritual stones for each purchase, right? That's true, but cultivating the spirit condensing roots is not easy and requires a lot of materials, so I need to ask you to borrow 3,000. Zhu Chinkin looked strange. Why don't you borrow it from your house? Zhu Daobai smiled meaningfully and said, this transaction is purely a cooperation between myself and the Zhu family. It does not rise to the level of the Zhu family and the Zhu family, so I don't want the family to know. Zhu Chinkin was thoughtful, took a deep look at the former young man, and nodded invisibly. It seems that this generation of the Zhu family has a remarkable person. Okay, I will lend you this spiritual stone! Okay, Master Zhu's kindness is appreciated. Zhu Daobai bowed, completed the transaction, and left the Zhu family. Arriving at the foot of the Zhu family Danaiyu mountain, a figure walked out. It was Zhu Shirong, the seventh elder of the Zhu family, and Zhu Daobai's uncle. Dao Bei, you seem to have a big plan in acquiring such a large amount of spiritual stones. Zhu Shirong frowned slightly, and there was worry and relief in his words. Zhu Daobai just smiled and said nonchalantly, what the head of the family wants is not to be humble to each other, but for us to gain experience and bring changes to the family. If Daosheng and Daki are capable, I will naturally be willing to assist them, but if they have no real talent, then why not let me, the eldest brother, support the Zhu family? His tone was full of confidence and calmness. Zhu Shirong was slightly startled, and then smiled. That's fine, just do what you want. By the way, how are you and Daosheng developing in Bailin Lake? Mentioning his sixth brother, Zhu Daobai frowned slightly. I don't know. Daosheng has been staying on his island every day recently, and he should be practicing step by step. However, with the resources of his island, if he wants to meet the 1,300 spirit stones required by the family leader, it should be more difficulty. And the fourth brother, Daji's recent situation should not be too good. He has been attacked by the Ma family forces one after another. I don't know if the family's business in Sifangfang City can be maintained. On the contrary, it's Yunzai's sister-in-law. I recently saw her raising silkworms on the island. It's a good business, and the final income should not be low. After saying that, Zhu Daobai shook his head and said with a smile, but don't worry about me. They all have their own paths. Maybe they are working hard secretly, especially that boy Daosheng. He is upright and majestic, and he is a good prospect at first glance. White Scale Lake. Zhu Daosheng secretly rowed the boat and arrived at Zhao Yunzai's island. Ms. Yunzai, I have some doubts about my cultivation. I wonder if I can have a talk at night and ask for advice? Zhao Yunzai raised his eyebrows, and the veins on his forehead twitched slightly. Looking at the sincere eyes outside the door, his chest felt tight all the time. She still remembers that the last time Zhu Daosheng had doubts about his cultivation, he came to her to solve his doubts, but the process was more special. After hesitating for a moment, she confirmed, is this really an exchange in practice? Chapter 46, Training at Night. Zhu Daosheng said seriously, Yunzai, I, Mr. Zhu, have acted openly and above board throughout my life and never lied. The mist is lingering, the moon is misty, and the night is dark tonight. 30 minutes later, his breathing was slightly heavy and his voice was nasal. You seem to have a lot of cultivation problems that you have accumulated. I am a person who sincerely seeks the truth. It is normal to study the exercises and practice diligently every day. It is normal to have more problems and confusions. How much older are you than me? Zhu must thank Zhao Yunzai for his generous teaching. Zhu Daosheng said in a sincere tone. Zhao Yunzai took a deep breath. His chest rose and fell continuously before he suppressed his emotions. After a while, he said helplessly, cultivation is the right path. I understand, but I really can't come here often. I'll come back to communicate with you next time when I am confused again. No. Yunzai couldn't help but rolled his eyes and kicked Zhu Dasheng out of bed. I'm telling you not to come here. Zhu Dasheng didn't care. He stood up with a smile and started to put on his clothes. Although he couldn't completely ignore the affairs between men and women, he was not a greedy person. Moreover, the two parties are Taoist lovers, and it is okay to get together occasionally. This is human nature. Miss Yunzai, do you have any needs for your cultivation recently? No. Yunzai frowned. Didn't we already? Zhu Dasheng quickly interrupted. I mean serious cultivation. You fucking know it's not serious? Now Yunzai said angrily. He simply wrapped himself in a thin coat and gauze skirt, put on his hair full of black hair, got off the bed with a slightly tired look, and walked out of the small wooden house he built. Zhu Dasheng followed him out. The island was larger and the aura on the island was richer, and because it was in the center of the lake, the fog was thicker. Looking around, it was shrouded in layers of thick fog, hazy in the night, and silenced. On the island, the spiritual fields are already full of crops. The first level low-grade spiritual fields are planted with a kind of mulberry tree. Zhu Dasheng doesn't know what kind it is, but it should be the specialty of the Zhao family, and the velvet silkworms especially like it. The white mulberry grown in the first level mid-level spiritual field is exactly the kind that I went out to find before. It has been planted now and is growing very well. However, Zhao Yunzai's main development direction is not to grow spiritual plants for sale, but to breed velvet silkworms. Zhao Yunzai walked in the cool night breeze and came to the planted mulberry trees. He said with some worry, Gu mulberry has a long growth life. Even if the environment here is very good, it is still too difficult to grow and mature in a short time. Gu mulberry? Zhu Dasheng thought thoughtfully. Although he had never heard of this kind of mulberry tree, he also knew that the time for planting tree-like spiritual plants was generally not short, and most of them took decades or more. Although this is only a first-grade low-grade mulberry tree, it is not easy to fully mature within a year or two. Don't your Zhao family have a unique growth liquid to accelerate ripening? Zhao Yunzai shook his head. There is only the growth liquid of Bai Malang Kui, and Gu Malang is grown naturally. At most, it can be equipped with some general growth liquid, but the price is relatively high. Isn't there any way to accelerate ripening? No. No. Yunzai straightened his hair, turned around and said, but I heard that there was an underground exchange meeting in Beifang City recently, and there were 3 mature mulberry trees in it, but I don't know the details. Private communication meeting? Is it reliable? Not sure, but you can try. Zhu Dasheng's eyes moved slightly. So are you planning to go to Beifang City recently? Are you going with me? Zhu Dagong shook his head decisively. No, I still have to practice. He just came back from Beifang City a few days ago. The journey back and forth takes more than half a month. How can he have time to run there again? However, it would not be a good idea to refuse directly. After all, you have just lifted your pants and haven't covered your body yet. If you eat and drink, it will be easy for people to criticize you. After thinking for a few seconds, Zhu Dasheng still accepted the matter. Well, don't go to Beifang City yourself. The journey takes nearly a month. You might as well practice here and I'll find someone to help you. Take a look. If there is Gu Sang, just bring it back for you. No. Yunzai raised his soft eyes and showed a smile of success. I'm sorry to trouble you. It's good to have someone under me. Zhu Dasheng shook his head helplessly, and then he realized that Zhao Yunzai had no intention of going by himself at all. He was trying to trick Meng Yushan and the others. Okay, I'll bring it to you when it arrives. Zhu Dasheng stretched and planned to row back to the island. Although he had only been here for more than half an hour, he was really tired. As soon as I got on the boat, I heard a cold voice from behind. If you come again next time, please remember to inform us in advance. Zhu Dasheng returned to the underground cave and looked at the extra wisp of innate purple energy emerging from his body, his face full of joy. Although there is still a long way to go before forming a complete innate purple energy, as long as you continue to work hard, work conscientiously, and often talk and practice confusion, you will succeed sooner or later. He has already felt the benefits of the innate purple energy. The quality of the purple energy green bamboo has recently reached the 2nd level low grade. Moreover, The spiritual energy formed when breaking through to a new realm made the environment of the entire underground cave even better, and even vaguely improved Zhu Daosheng's cultivation level by a few points. Coupled with the benefits of running sun and menstruation today, he has just reached the middle stage of the 7th level of Qi training and is already approaching the late stage of the 7th level of Qi training. Zhu Daosheng has a very clear plan for himself, that is, cultivation and formation will go hand in hand, and the two will complement each other. Wu Tu Kunyugong relies on time. It is practiced step by step. Although the speed is not fast, it is steady. On the contrary, the formation needs to be accelerated. The purple spirit bamboo has broken through to the 2nd level, which is more than enough for setting up the 1st level top grade, Bailing sword formation. Moreover, the other Bailing bamboo shoots have also reached the middle grade. The shells of the bamboo shoots gradually broke open and turned into emerald green bamboo. It is expected that it will soon reach the 1st level top grade and meet the conditions for setting up the formation. Compared with the formations such as the falling stone formation and the golden knife formation that are sold, the Bailing sword formation is more powerful. Zhu Daosheng intends to keep it for self-defense, and use it with his own strong defense to enhance his strength. However, in order to refine the 1st level top grade, Bailing sword formation plate, Zhu Daosheng's formation technology is still far from enough. The most important thing now is to stabilize his own technology at the 1st level middle grade. Thinking like this, Zhu Daosheng collected his drifting thoughts, looked at the formation book in front of him, and studied the 1st level medium quality, thorn vine formation, carefully. The large number of yellow thorn vines planted means that this formation will need to be refined and sold for a long time in the future. The next morning, Zhu Daosheng finished a night of formation learning and felt extremely tired mentally and physically. It seems that it is still very necessary to supplement food and sleep. I can't stay up late like this in the future. Rubbing his sore eyebrows, Zhu Daosheng went to the valley early. There are still many things to deal with today. Chapter 47, Spirit Snake Sect. The valley has transformed from a desolate and uninhabited mountain range into a well-organized and hidden residence. The clear spring flows, and the green-bearded shrimps swim freely in it, having completely adapted to the environment here. Under the watering of the spiritual field, the soil here is also full of spirituality and has been planted with yellow thorn vines. Zhu Daosheng looked around and saw that Huang Zhao and Zhang Yin were taking care of the spiritual field, while the other two 7th level Qi refining monks were trimming the debris in the valley, but the others were nowhere to be seen. Where are Huang Zhao, Meng Yushan and the 3 of them going? Sir, Brother Meng and the others are out hunting monsters. There are no spiritual grains planted in the valley. Our food still has to be obtained from monsters. Zhu Daosheng slapped his head and then remembered that he was so busy practicing that he forgot to eat. For immortal cultivators, food is indispensable. Even if they reach the Xifu stage and nominally have the ability to live without grains, they still need to eat food. Weaker monks eat food with weaker spiritual energy content, so there will be impurities, which are the spiritual rice and monster flesh and blood they eat today. And powerful monks can directly feed on the spiritual energy and the air to satisfy their own needs while swallowing and exhaling, thereby achieving fasting. But the principles of both are actually the same. They both need to absorb spiritual energy to replenish the body's energy. Zhu Daosheng planned in his heart that it is still necessary to plant some spiritual rice in the valley. This is very important for daily practice and life. He cannot go out to hunt monsters for food every day. A day or two is enough. Over time, it will inevitably affect practice. Even if the family hunting team goes out to hunt monsters, they will always bring spiritual rice as food. Through the communication stone, the 3 men of Meng Yushan were called back. Not long after, I saw 3 people walking from the forest in the distance, carrying 2 first-level mid-level monsters in their hands. With the strength of these 3 people, it was very easy to hunt the monsters with each other. Sir, what's the reason for calling us back? Zhu Daosheng went straight to the point and arranged for Meng Yushan and Lin Yuan to go to Beifang City. On the one hand, it is to buy the mulberry grains Zhao Yunzai needs, and at the same time to buy some first-grade high-grade spiritual rice seeds. At the same time, If you see some items necessary for daily life, you can also buy some. As for Qinlai, because of his special status, he was stationed in the valley and minimized going out. After he finished explaining, he saw that the two people did not leave immediately, but stood there as if they had something to say. Zhu Dasheng frowned. "What's wrong, Lao Meng? Is there any problem?" Meng Yushan shook his head and said, "Sir, we just discovered something in the wilderness not far away." "Oh, what's the matter?" Meng Yushan looked slightly solemn and said, "It seems that two forces discovered a hidden mineral vein and started fighting over it." Zhu Dasheng's expression changed and he quickly asked, "How far is it from us? Have you been discovered by them?" "Our location is hidden and has not been discovered, but the mine is only a dozen kilometers away from us, very close." Zhu Dasheng's breathing became heavy. At this distance, other forces actually discovered a hidden mine. This was not a good phenomenon. Once the value of the mineral vein is high, they will inevitably establish a base here, and there will inevitably be conflicts and friction with the Zhu family. Balin Lake is too far away from Tanchai Mountain, so it is difficult for the family to provide effective support. Once conflicts arise, the consequences will be disastrous. Lao Meng, have you seen their identities clearly? Meng Yushan nodded and said, "I saw the clothes they were wearing. One of them was from the Spirit Snake sect, and the other was wearing a sky blue torn robe. The clothes were embroidered with white cloud patterns. They should be from a certain family, but I don't know." "No." Zhu Dasheng nodded silently. "It should be from Mo Yunshan's Qi family." After figuring out the identities of the two forces, Zhu Dasheng also fell into deep thought. Zhu Dasheng had also heard about the Spirit Snake sect for a long time. It was a powerful sect in the nearby area. The sect leader was a strong man with a third-level foundation. He also owned a second-level spirit snake monster, and his strength should not be underestimated. The Mo Yunshan Qi family, the family that discovered Balin Lake at the same time as the Zhu family, did not expect to appear again now, which made Zhu Dasheng feel a little wary. The strength of this family is also not weak, with two strong foundation builders, and it is also a family of medicinal pills. However, among the alchemy families in the nearby area, the Mo Yunshan Qi family has a weak inheritance and average alchemy skills, so its competitiveness is relatively low. In comparison, the Zhu family of Danyu Mountain is more proficient in alchemy and occupies a larger market share. Weighing the strength of the two parties, Zhu Dasheng only felt a headache. No matter which side they were, the Zhu family could not afford to offend them. Once they establish a presence here, it will not be a good thing for the Zhu family, especially the Spirit Snake sect, which has no friendship with the Zhu family. If it discovers the existence of White Scale Lake, it is very likely that it will take action to snatch it away. Only Zhu Dasheng, Zhu Daobai and Zhao Yunzai cannot stop it. What makes Zhu Dasheng even more troublesome is that once the valley and the underground spiritual spring are discovered, everything he has done these days will be in vain and his great future will be ruined. He will never tolerate it. As if he had made up his mind, Zhu Dasheng said with caution in his eyes, "This time we are going to Beifang City. Lin Yuan, go alone. Go as early as possible and come back as early as possible. Don't waste time. Meng Yushan, you stay here, and keep an eye on the surroundings with Qinlai. Tell me immediately if you find anything." Meng Yushan and the others nodded deeply, their eyes full of solemnity, even with a little sharpness, because not only Zhu Dasheng was anxious, but Meng Yushan, Lin Yuan, and Qinlai were even more angry. After being a casual cultivator for a lifetime, they finally found a place to stay, where they could practice stably and their lives barely improved. How could they be willing to lose all this? As casual cultivators, their ruthlessness is engraved in their bones. If they were a group of spineless people, they would not be able to get their status. So after Zhu Dasheng gave the task, several people nodded and agreed without hesitation. Meng Yushan asked in a low voice, "Sir, if a conflict really occurs, do we need to take action to resolve them?" Zhu Dasheng thought for a moment and said, "Don't do it yet. I will go and talk to the Mo Yunshan Qi family. If we can work together to expel the Spirit Snake sect, maybe we can coexist peacefully." Zhu Dasheng is relatively relieved about the Mo Yunshan Qi family, After all, Balin Lake was sold to the Zhu family in the name of the family, and they are unlikely to tear their faces and rob. If the two sides can reach a cooperation, maybe the matter can be resolved peacefully, which is good for both parties. However, the iron must be hard to forge. Zhu Dasheng still plans to improve his strength as much as possible in the near future, and it will not be too late to contact the Mo Yun Shanqi family when he can't hide it anymore. Chapter 48, Enlightenment. After all, the two forces competing for the mineral veins should take a long time, whether it is fighting or coordinating with each other. It will take a lot of time. If you can take advantage of this period of time to upgrade your formation skills to the first level and set up the Bailing sword formation, you will still have a certain amount of confidence even if you face these two foundation building forces. So next, Lin Yuan rushed to Beifang City. Meng Yushan and Qin Lai were stationed in the valley, while Zhu Dasheng devoted himself to learning the formation. However, he still thought highly of himself. After all, it was a bit unrealistic to want to directly learn the first-level high-level formations before he had fully mastered the first-level mid-level formations. Helpless, Zhu Dasheng had no choice but to focus on the first-level mid-level thorn vine array. Again, when purchasing yellow thorn vines before, Zhu Dasheng purchased several mature yellow thorn vines in advance. Their quality was first-level and mid-grade, just enough to be used to arrange the thorn vine array. The golden sword formation, previously arranged as the simplest among the first-order mid-level formations. It is a purely offensive formation and can only be regarded as an introduction. Spiny vine formation has both attack and control effects, and even has a certain defensive effect when used properly, which is much stronger than the golden sword formation. But similarly, the difficulty of arrangement is not generally high, which is a big challenge for Zhu Dasheng. Every day that followed, Zhu Dasheng meditated in the underground cave, and even the daily food was delivered by Meng Yushan himself. For an ordinary formation master, it would take several years to advance from the low-level first-level formation to a mid-level formation, and to fully learn the more difficult parts of the first-level mid-level formation. But Zhu Dasheng has a strong understanding and has a natural advantage in this area, so the time is reduced a lot. It only took more than half a month to successfully learn the thorn vine array, and the first time it was deployed, it was successfully completed. Yellow-green sharp thorns burst out of the ground, flashing with sharp light. Under the control of the formation, they were like the muscular body of a snake, erupting with such powerful power that even the 7th-level chi-refining monks did not dare to resist. However, the number of thorns in the thorn vine formation is small, only about 5 or 6, so the frequency of attacks is low, and the method of trapping enemies is relatively simple. The focus is more on the attack ability. If it is a first-level high-grade 100 vine formation, the effects in all aspects should be better, whether it is attack strength or control methods. All aspects will be strengthened. However, for monks in the late stage of chi refining, a set of first-level mid-level formations can greatly improve their strength. For example, Meng Yushan and Lin Yuan have little difference in strength, and they can only be considered evenly matched at best. But with Meng Yushan possessing a thorn vine formation, if he fought in the formation, Lin Yuan would have almost no power to fight back. In just a few breaths, serious injuries appeared on his body. Only after several attempts, Zhu Dasheng also discovered a serious drawback, and it was a drawback that existed in all formations. That is, controlling the formation consumes a lot of mana. If the formation master controls it personally, it consumes relatively less, but if it is controlled by an ordinary monk, it will consume 50% more mana. As a result, the advantages of the formation were greatly weakened. Lao Meng, if you defeat Lin Yuan with your formation, how much mana will you have left? Zhu Dasheng asked thoughtfully. Meng Yushan thought for a while and estimated, I haven't tried this yet, but there are probably 3 floors left. Zhu Dasheng nodded. This result was already considered very good. It allowed the two people, who were evenly matched, to win with an overwhelming advantage and still have 3 layers of mana left. However, Zhu Dasheng was also thinking, is there any way to reduce the consumption of the formation? It seems that no formation master has ever explored this issue. After all, Formations require monks to control them manually. How can it not consume mana? It's simply a fantasy. But Zhu Daosheng looked at the spirit-gathering array not far away, which was also slowly moving at the moment, absorbing the spiritual energy and the surrounding air into its interior. In a daze, Zhu Daosheng's eyes paused, and his thoughts were immersed in it. He seemed to see traces of the formation's operation based on the lines of the formation he had arranged. At the same time, the lines of other formations began to appear in his mind, and a mysterious feeling enveloped his whole body. His thinking seemed to be completely silent, and he was trapped in this unconscious thinking. The spirit-gathering formation, the falling stone formation, the mist formation, the golden knife formation, the thorny vine formation, the jade spirit sword formation. There were even many formation patterns that he just glanced at and did not delve into deeply. All appeared in his mind together and intertwined. At this moment, he stood motionless and his eyes became dull. Meng Yushan scratched his head, leaned forward curiously, and said with some confusion, "Hey, what's wrong, sir? Is there something wrong with your brain?" As he said that, he was about to reach out and pat Zhu Daosheng on the shoulder, but Qinlai grabbed him from behind and said in a cold voice, "If you don't want anything to happen to you, don't touch him." "What's up, Lao Qin? What's going on, sir?" Qinlai frowned, a trace of shock flashed in his eyes, and he said with some disbelief, "Your Excellency seems to have entered a special state, as if an epiphany?" "Epiphany?" Meng Yushan and Lin Yuan also felt a little thoughtful when they heard these two words. Qinlai was not sure, but he still tried to explain. "I heard that some geniuses with excellent understanding will have special insights by chance, and will enter the state of enlightenment unconsciously. This state is extremely rare. Most of the time everyone will gain something. So that's how it is." Lin Yuan suddenly realized, "I heard that many of the predecessors created skills, secrets, and spells, which were realized during the epiphany." Meng Yushan looked surprised. "I didn't expect that the adult's understanding is so high." "It's really not simple." Qinlai nodded slightly, and couldn't help saying, "With such talent, the probability of breaking through the foundation in the future is not small. Maybe we can also get some benefits." Zhu Daosheng had no idea what was happening outside, and his mind was completely immersed in countless array patterns. The operation of the thorn vine array consumes a lot of mana. The gathering spirit array has the function of absorbing spiritual energy. Can the spiritual energy absorbed by the gathering spirit array be supplied to the thorn vine array? Can the golden blade condensed by the golden sword array be attached to the thorns of the thorn vine array? Can the golden sword condensed in the golden sword array use the spiritual energy gathered by the gathering spirit array? All kinds of ideas emerged in his mind, and he thought and deduced at a very fast speed. This kind of question is extremely naive in the eyes of many formation masters, and they don't even want to look at it. Even many ordinary cultivators will sneer at this. After all, two sets of formations can indeed be arranged in the same position. For example, in the underground cave before, there were three formations: the rock formation, the earth defense formation, and the fog formation. Each of them operates independently and performs its own functions. However, Zhu Daosheng did not have these common sense of cultivation, so he thought deeply. Even some new ideas were born. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Fusion Array. Putting different formations together does not allow them to merge, nor can it allow the effects of the formations to be superimposed. Even formations with different attributes and different operating modes will affect each other. But is it possible to combine different formation patterns to create a new formation that has the functions of two formations at the same time? For example, the spirit gathering formation and the earth formation of defense. The spirit gathering formation is responsible for gathering spiritual energy, and then supplying it to the earth defense formation, serving as the spiritual power supply core of the Earth Defense Formation to ensure its longer operation. As long as there is spiritual energy around the Spirit Gathering Formation, the Earth Defense Formation can continue to operate, and even the quality becomes higher in continuous nurturing. Ordinary formations, if you want to operate for a long time, you need to continuously input spiritual energy or use spiritual stones to supply energy. But if this idea can succeed, it will perfectly solve the problem of spiritual energy supply, and the combination of different formations will also bring different possibilities. His thoughts began to churn. Unconsciously, the formation diagrams of the Gathering Spirit Formation and the Earth Defense Formation emerged in his mind. Every detail of the two formation diagrams was extremely clear, and under the guidance of consciousness, they slowly merged together. It was not a forced patchwork, but a true fusion. Connect the details of each line and ensure normal operation. This process is extremely complicated. Even for the lowest level formation, a slight change in a tiny detail may cause the entire formation to collapse. Fortunately, Zhu Daosheng is now in the state of enlightenment, and his thinking speed is thousands of times faster than usual, enough to maintain high-intensity deduction. I don't know how long it took, and a new set of formation diagrams emerge in my mind. This is a new formation formed by combining two sets of formation diagrams. The quality is still the first grade inferior, but the formation pattern is more than twice as complicated, and a large number of connection points are intertwined, which means that the difficulty of arrangement has increased a lot, even comparable to the first grade middle grade. For ordinary people, walking here is the end, but the enlightenment is not over. Uncontrolled thoughts naturally enter the next stage, reconciliation and simplification. Optimize the details of this complex array diagram, and remove most of the overlapping, cumbersome, and useless array patterns, while ensuring that the array can operate normally. This process is also very difficult, and thoughts are like computers, running at super high speed. After a long time, a brand new array gradually became clear in my mind. The quality is still the first grade inferior, but the difficulty of arrangement is greatly reduced, just slightly higher than the Spirit Gathering Array and the Earth Defense Array. As for the function, just as Zhu Daosheng hoped, it perfectly integrates the characteristics of the Spirit Gathering Array and the Earth Defense Array. The Spirit Gathering Array is responsible for absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy and then supplying it to the Earth Defense Array, making the Earth Defense Array stronger and lasting longer. What's more shocking is that with the assistance of the Spirit Gathering Array, the demand for mana and spiritual energy is greatly reduced, and only a small amount of spiritual energy is needed to control it. Zhu Daosheng slowly opened his eyes, and the surprise visible to the naked eye almost overflowed. Success. He knew that an opportunity that he could not imagine was coming to him. In the field of formation, he opened up a new road, and it was a road that had never been seen before and would never be seen again. And this new road, he called it fusion formation. The fusion of formations and the more efficient use of formation patterns. This is fusion formation. With this epiphany, the general system of fusion formation has been roughly perfected. Zhu Daosheng only needs to feel it carefully, and a lot of familiar and unfamiliar knowledge begins to appear in his mind, and in the process of absorption, he has a deeper understanding of this technology. The whole process of fusion formation can be roughly divided into 4 steps: screening, combination, coordination, and simplification. Each step seems simple, but it is extremely complex and contains a lot of knowledge. In a few breaths, Zhu Daosheng integrated the huge knowledge and made it part of his memory. To prevent forgetting and missing, Zhu Daosheng rushed back to the underground cave, took out paper and pen, and wrote down all the content. Among them, it also includes the result of this attempt: the fusion formation of the Gathering Spirit Formation and the Earth Defense Formation. Zhu Daosheng called it Earth Guarding Spirit Formation. After recording everything, he also put it into practice. It happened that he had a set of Spirit Gathering Formation and a set of Earth Guarding Formation in his hand. Zhu Daosheng dismantled these two formations and planned to use the formation diagram to rearrange them. Although the process of creating the formation is very complicated, the difficulty of arranging the new formation created in the end is not very high. but it is slightly higher than before. This phenomenon means that the same number of formation patterns has a higher efficiency. Zhu Daosheng successfully arranged this set of earth-guarding spirit formation after just a simple attempt. The next moment, a taller and thicker earth wall rose from the ground, continuously absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. Even if it was destroyed, it would recover quickly with the help of spiritual energy. As long as the surrounding spiritual energy is continuous, the formation will not stop running. And in the process, there is no need to consume extra mana. It's really exquisite. Looking at the formation in front of him, Zhu Daosheng couldn't help but sigh, and the excitement in his heart could not be described in words. Chapter 50 The Qi Family's Attitude. Since the Spirit Gathering formation and the Earth Control formation can be integrated, other formations can naturally do the same. Zhu Daosheng began to try, and his initial target was the first-level low-grade formations, such as the Spirit Gathering formation, the Cloud and Mist formation, the Falling Stone formation, the Earth Control formation, etc. However, after extensive screening, Zhu Daosheng found that these formations were not suitable for fusion with each other. Even if they were successfully fused, they would not have much effect. On the contrary, among the first-order mid-level formations, there are several formations that are not low in strength, and the possibility of fusion is relatively high, which is very worth trying. For example, the Flame formation, the Evergreen formation, the Poison Swamp formation, the Golden Sword formation, the Return formation. These formations themselves can be integrated with the Spirit Gathering array, thereby obtaining a steady stream of spiritual energy with the help of the Spirit Gathering array, and possessing more powerful power, with a high probability of being able to compete with the 8th level of Qi refining. In addition to combining with the Spirit Gathering formation, Zhu Daosheng is also trying to integrate the other two formations. For example, the Flame formation and the Golden Sword formation. Zhu Daosheng began to retreat, trying to start the first independent formation fusion based on the experience in his mind and the steps of merging formations. During the Epiphany, it only took a quarter of an hour to complete this step easily, but now that I try it myself, the time and energy consumed are far beyond imagination. This retreat lasted for 20 days. It was not until all the reserved spiritual rice was eaten that Zhu Daosheng left the underground cave with unsatisfied intentions. The fusion of the Flame formation and the Golden Sword formation was successful as expected. The new formation is called Splitting Gold formation, the first-order mid-grade. The quality remains the same, but the attack intensity is greatly increased. Zhu Daosheng is not sure to what extent it can reach. After all, he has only completed the formation diagram and has not yet actually laid it out. He returned to the island in a good mood, but as soon as he came out of the underground cave, Zhu Daosheng saw Meng Yushan with a sad face. Seeing Zhu Daosheng come out, Meng Yushan's eyes were filled with joy and he trotted over quickly. "Sir, you are finally out of seclusion, but we are anxious to death." Zhu Daosheng raised his eyebrows and said, "What happened?" Meng Yushan sighed and said, "It's not that mine, but the two forces have finally become aware of our existence." Zhu Daosheng felt nervous. "Have they found the valley?" "That's not true, but recently, the two forces have been approaching us vaguely. I'm worried that it won't be long before the valley will be discovered." Zhu Daosheng frowned. The mineral vein was so close to the valley. Even if he was careful, he would be discovered sooner or later, and he would not be able to hide. It's just that he was lucky, hoping that the other party would discover the valley later, preferably after he had reached the first level of high-level formation mage. But now it seems that there may not be enough time. Zhu Daosheng thought for a moment and called Qin Lai and Lin Yuan over. He took out a storage bag from his pocket and handed it to Lin Yuan. "Lin Yuan, here are his 600 low-grade spiritual stones, as well as 700 spiritual stones worth of monster materials and spiritual plants. Please help me go to Beifang City again. According to my order is to purchase a batch of formation materials." These spiritual stones and materials were scraped out from Qin Lai and Lin Yuan before. When Lin Yuan heard this, his face turned green. "Sir, I just went there some time ago." Zhu Daosheng said seriously, "This matter is urgent. It affects whether we can hold the valley station in the future. You have to go if you don't want to." Hearing Zhu Daosheng's serious attitude, Lin Yuan also understood the priority of the matter, restrained his joking demeanor, and responded seriously, "Okay, then I will leave now and come back as soon as possible." Zhu Daosheng turned to look at Meng Yushan and Qin Lai, and arranged, "Qin Lai, you stay in the valley. If anyone comes near here, remember to only defend and not attack. Don't provoke easily to avoid conflicts. As for Lao Meng, you come with me to Mo Yun Shankijia." Faced with a potential crisis, Zhu Daosheng did not intend to inform his family, including Zhu Daobai and Zhao Yunzai, who were also at Balin Lake. Even if the family is reported, the Zhu family may not have a good solution. Danchai Mountain is too far away, and Balin Lake is deep into the uninhabited mountains, so it is very inconvenient to travel. What's more, the enemies are two foundation-building family heads who are stronger than the Zhu family. It's really not worth it to rashly make enemies just for a first-order mid-grade spiritual vein. But Zhu Daosheng knew that there was a second-level spiritual spring eye here, which was worth dozens of times as much as the first-level mid-level spiritual veins. His chances of breaking through the foundation building in the future depended entirely on this spiritual spring eye. He made up his mind to deal with it to the best of his ability. If there was really no way to solve it, it would not be too late to inform his family. After Lin Yuan left, Zhu Daosheng cleaned up briefly and took Meng Yushan to the Kijia station next to the mine. The distance was not too far, and although there was a dense primitive jungle blocking it, it only took half an hour to find the mine site. "Who are you?" "This is the residence of my Mo Yun Shan Chi family. The rest of the gang should leave immediately. Otherwise don't blame our men for being ruthless." Zhu Daosheng's expression remained unchanged and he said humble nor arrogantly, "I am a member of the Zhu family in Danchai Nether Mountain. I want to meet your elders. Can I inform you?" "Danchai Mountain Zhu family?" The two looked at each other, hesitated for a few seconds, and said, "Please wait a moment, we will go and report." Then, before they could turn around, a voice suddenly came from behind. "Ha ha. The Danchai Mountain Zhu family are the ones who robbed my Chi family's residence." The voice was frivolous and cold, making Zhu Daosheng couldn't help but frown. Looking up, I saw a young man wearing blue brocade clothes approaching, with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, and an extraordinary bearing. The ownership of Balin Lake is the result of the discussion between the two families, and an agreement was signed. How can it be called robbery?" Zhu Daosheng said in a low voice. The man's eyes flashed with cold light, and he snorted coldly. The fifth elder just acted on his own. The spirit vein and the station are the foundation of the family inheritance. It's really stupid to sell them for 5,000 low-grade spirit stones. Zhu Daosheng's expression did not change, but he was secretly surprised in his heart. This person dared to criticize the family elders in public, and the others did not say anything to stop him. It can be seen that his status in the Chi family is definitely not low. "Then, you want to break the contract?" "Of course there is no need. Since it is signed in the name of the Chi family, I, Chi Yunxiao, will not destroy the family's reputation." Changing the subject, the young man narrowed his eyes and said, "However, it is still very good to let the family ancestors go to Balin Lake to get some benefits occasionally. Maybe you can find some good things. Just think of it as collecting some interest. I advise you. It's best not to have this idea." Zhu Daosheng's eyes were obscurely fierce, especially when he heard that the other party was going to Balin Lake. He was even more murderous. If the powerful people in the world discover the existence of the spiritual spring eye, what will be the consequences? It is very likely that the Chi family will tear up the contract without hesitation, forcibly kill Zhu Daosheng and others, and then throw the crime to the casual cultivators and secretly occupying this place. Thinking of this, Zhu Daosheng's heart seemed to be strangled, and he felt suffocated. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.